High Court. They'll be here at 7 a.m. That is a discussion that you don't want to miss. I was in Ruambiti. Is it called Ruambiti, Mike?
Yes.
Somewhere called Ruambiti.
Yes.
Around Kutus, yes. Kagio,
Kutus,
hapo
Kagio,
juu kidogo.
Kidogo ukienda place
hapo
inaitwa Kianyaga.
Kianyaga hapo.
Kianyaga High School there.
Watu waliweza. There is a hotel tulienda tukakula, you know.
Yes.
It was a good place. Somebody said hi to you.
Oh, okay.
Don't ask what I was doing there.
I will not even delve into that.
If
but,
you know those people.
On behalf of those people who come from Ruambiti, you are welcome. Welcome again. Welcome to the program. My name is Mike Megu. This is Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for tuning in to KBC Channel 1. And interestingly, Victor, the debate about the impeachment of the deputy president has taken a new, let me say, turn, because even the Speaker of the National Assembly has waded into that debate. So it's going to be a very interesting week for politicians, especially the deputy president who is facing an impeachment motion. Away from that, today on Transformative Leaders, we'll be speaking to one Muthoni Thangwa, who is an anthropologist and a children's book author. So we'll be focusing on children literature. It's a conversation that will be coming immediately after we are done with politics. And also, don't worry about family check, because there will be also another topic that will be revolving around nurturing talents. Good morning, Marie.
A very good morning to you, Mike and Victor.
Good morning.
So, Victor, what were you doing here? Is it Ruambiti?
Yes. It's called Ruambiti.
Yes.
Yes.
What were you doing there?
They say hapa kule.
Tembea Kenya.
Tembea Kenya. But I can tell you,
yes.
Kenya is cute. Kenya is beautiful.
Very.
That one I agree with you.
I don't know whether Mike knows around that area. Have you ever been there, Marie?
No, I've never been there.
Not so far away. 2 hours.
Oh. Max.
Yes.
Okay. But I must agree with you. Kenya is beautiful. When you get to travel, that's when you realize that Kenya is really big. You know?
I went visiting.
Oh, you went to visit Mike?
And I saw somebody who resembles Mike.
Oh, okay.
Along that area.
Yeah. I don't know whether there are people who look like me there.
But it is good to, explore, get to know the country and all that. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, very good morning from wherever you're joining us. My name is Marie Yambo, and exactly as Mike and also Victor have already alluded to, politics will be playing, in our bulletin this morning, and even during the week. It will be interesting, by the way, Mike and Victor, to see what happens tomorrow, because, like you said, it's unprecedented. But yes, politics will always be politics. Tuliambiwa tuweke kwa lungs,
Yes.
Tuseke kwa roho. Yeah, so we want to see what happens, because that has never really happened before, but we'll be able to follow those proceedings for you tomorrow, that is. But today, we'll be bringing you more about the impeachment plan. The majority leader, Kimani Ichung'wah, accusing the DP, Rigathi Gachagua, of sabotage, as Deputy President himself, Rigathi Gachagua, continued his defense against, the impeachment plans. And unexplained wealth, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission officers arrest a cleaner for the alleged, accumulation of 615 million shillings in a fraud case that is in Kakamega. All those coming up in the news this morning, including sports. So in just a short moment, I'll be bringing you up to speed with what is happening in the news. And let's begin with what I would call Mount Kenya politics, where Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua on Sunday continued to defend himself against plans to impeach him in the wake of a fallout with a section of leaders from the Mount Kenya region. While attending a church service in Meru County, Gachagua told those planning to impeach him to respect the will of the people, saying he was elected on a joint ticket with President William Ruto. Here is our reporter Abdiaziz Hashim with the details.
Nimepita hapa, nitapita hapo Runyenjes, Chuka mpaka Meru. niongee na watu wetu waniambie kama wanataka tukae tukiwa kitu kimoja.
A day after the country's second-in-command dead legislators were reported to have signed his impeachment motion.
Hakuna mtu mwingine anaweza nitoa kwa kazi isipokuwa nyinyi. Kweli ama uongo? Kweli ama uongo?
Continued with the onslaught on the engineering his ousted, terming the motion to remove him from office as a political witch hunt.
Tufanyie watu ya Kenya kazi kwa sababu tulichaguliwa miaka miwili peke yake na hatujafanya ile kazi ambayo wananchi wanatarajia tufanye. Tungetaka tuombe tupunguze maneno mingi, zote tushikane, tufanyie wa Kenya kazi kwa sababu hawa Kenya walituchagua wakiwa na matumaini makubwa sana, na hawakutuchagua tupigane, turumbane, tupanganie, tukue na maneno ambayo haifai.
Rigathi, who joined the faithfuls at the church service in Meru County, urged the country to pray for him and his boss, President William Ruto, to overcome the current turbulence within the ruling party.
Bishop, mimi sina maneno mengi, mimi nimeshukuru sana kwa maombi. Please continue praying for our country. Let us pray for our president, let us pray for the government, let us pray for our leaders. It is my hope that sanity will prevail. We tone down on politics of division, siasa ya kumalizana, siasa ya furugu.
Gachagua stated the government is yet to realize most of its goals and leaders ought to forego politics so that they can be achieved.
And as we do whatever we are doing in the political space, it is my prayer that we should always respect the will of the people. The will of the people is supreme. Elections were done. President and I were elected on the joint ticket for 5 years. And that is the will of the people. Let us not fall into the temptation of overturning the will of the people through other methods.
This comes as Gachagua alleged that his political detractors were hell-bent on kicking him out of office while given bribes to support the impeachment motion.
Siko namna hiyo, watu waheshimiwe. Ile wananchi wameamua, tuwapatie nafasi kwa sababu wao ndio wenye kuamua.
A section of National Assembly members are expected to table the impeachment motion against the Deputy President on Tuesday next week. The motion, which must be backed by 117 legislators for it to be introduced in the House, must garner the support of at least 233 MPs for it to be transmitted to the Senate.
Thank you, Abdiaziz Hashim, for that report. Now, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission officers have arrested John Koveti Lumula, a cleaner working for Kakamega County government, who is alleged to have accumulated unexplained wealth of over 615 million shillings. Officers from the anti-graft body raided his home and offices, where they found documentation and cash that showed he owns a top private school worth 200 million shillings run by his spouse, hotels, land, commercial buildings, and high-end vehicles. EACC spokesperson Eric Ngombe says his wealth is suspected to be as a result of proceeds from graft, as it was not commensurate to his known income.
Meet a multi-millionaire cleaner from Kakamega County. John Koveti Lumula, a Kakamega County official who has amassed unexplained wealth of over 615 million Kenyan shillings. Lumula, the head of cleaning services at the devolved unit, was arrested and recorded a statement. Sleuths from the anti-graft body raided his home and offices to unearth how he accumulated his wealth as a county officer. The multimillionaire cleaner, according to the Twali Bambarak-led body, allegedly amassed wealth that was not commensurate to his legitimate income, which EACC suspects to be proceeds of corruption. While confirming the arrest, EACC spokesperson Eric Ngumbi affirmed that Lumula's suspected illicit multi-million empire includes a top private school worth 200 million shillings run by his spouse, hotels, land, commercial buildings and high-end vehicles. Lumula is among several officials raided this week in an intensified crackdown on overnight millionaires in the government. The anti-graft body is currently focused on asset tracing and recovery of proceeds of graft.
While in Nairobi, Governor Johnson Sakaja is calling for unity among citizens in the wake of plans to introduce an impeachment motion against the Deputy President, Gachagua, in the National Assembly. Speaking during the retirement and Thanksgiving service for ACK Nairobi Diocese Bishop Joel Waweru, Sakaja emphasized the importance of respect and collaboration among political leaders and the public, urging all Kenyans to rise above tribal divisions.
At St. Stephen's Church on Jogoo Road, a gathering of politicians and clergy came together to honor the retiring Bishop of ACK Nairobi Diocese, Right Reverend Joel Waweru. As they bid their farewell to the retiring bishop, voices of unity rang, with leaders stressing the necessity for solidarity as political tensions escalate.
Mambo ambayo yanafanyika hayapendezi mtu yeyote. Provost ananiambia ametumiwa message na mtu sahihi, akaambiwa tafadhali Provost, maambie maaskofu waombee nchi hii. Mkipewa kiti cha heshima, mtu aheshimu kiti hicho na aheshimu wale ambao wanafanya kazi nao.
As the nation braces for potential turbulence with plans to impeach the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, they called on political leaders to uphold their responsibilities and foster a climate of respect.
Tafadhali nchi yetu isiingie kwenye shimo kwa ajili ya marubano ambayo ninyi mnasema. Heshimianeni huko wenyewe, na mambo ambayo mnafanya mjue mnafanya namna gani, na mjue tunawaangalia.
Our problems are the same as a city of Nairobi. The same pain Mama Njeri feels when she can't feed a child is the same as Mama Akinyi. We want our people to remain united without tribalism in our city and our country. We are one people. There's more that unites us than divides us, and that is what we believe in. So please don't worry about the politics you're seeing going on. Hiyo ambayo inakuja bunge next week na huko kwingine, don't worry. Let the politicians settle their politics, because politics is part of us.
Governor Sakaja urged Kenyans to focus on what unites them rather than the divisions that threaten to tear the country apart.
But I want to assure you that we are going to have a united country devoid of tribal politics. No one chose where they were born, and no one chose which family they were in, no one chose which tribe. All our communities in Kenya, 43, deserve recognition and space in our country. And that is the Kenya that we want to build.
During the retirement and Thanksgiving service, Bishop Joel Waweru Mwangi, who has served the Diocese of Nairobi for 14 years, was praised as a devoted servant of God. The bishop's legacy of promoting peace and unity resonated as he heads to retirement.
The Ministry of Lands has come out to allay fears that the theft of 367 security papers has any consequence on land legitimately owned and title deeds already processed. Through a statement, the Ministry of Lands clarified that documents stolen at the government printer are the papers used for printing title deeds, and the papers can only become title deeds after they have been handed over to the Ministry of Lands, filled with ownership details, and the theft of the papers stolen from the government printer have raised concerns across the country regarding the potential misuse of fraudulent transactions. Let's get the details of that particular story.
Following the theft of 367 security papers used for printing of title deeds in the country, the Ministry of Lands has assured Kenyans of the integrity of the titling process, despite the challenges experienced. In an official statement released by the Ministry of Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development, the government has assured the public that the stolen papers cannot be considered as title deeds until they have been processed by the ministry. According to the statement, the papers only become legal title deeds once they are filled with ownership details and sealed with official stamps and signature after verification by the Registrar of Lands. The statement by the ministry further acknowledged that corruption cartels are likely behind the theft with the intent of creating fake titles. However, the ministry assured the public that anti-fraud mechanisms are in place and the anti-corruption efforts will be intensified to prevent any fraudulent land transfers. Already, one officer from the government printer has been arrested in connection to the theft. The Ministry of Land has assured Kenyans that they are working closely with the security agencies to bring those responsible to justice.
And just to take you a little bit back to matters politics, where National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah has faulted the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua for allegedly undermining and sabotaging government from within. The Kikuyu legislator, who confirmed the existence of an impeachment motion against Gachagua, says he has appended his signature to the motion, adding that Gachagua has stirred a rebellious front within government in pursuit of his 2027 ambitions. The planned impeachment motion, however, has attracted protracted resistance from religious leaders and elders from the Mount Kenya region, while other political players appear to support calls for the DP ouster from the office. John Jacob Curia with the details.
It appears the impeachment motion against the Deputy President is no longer a question of if but when, with Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah confirming he's among one of the legislators who has signed the motion that is headed to the National Assembly.
It is true, there is an impeachment motion against the Deputy President, and as Member of Parliament for Kikuyu, I have already appended my signature to it. And I will support that impeachment motion to stop a process where government is being undermined and sabotaged from within government. Ili yale mambo tuliwaambia tutawafanyia,
according to Ichung'wah, the DP has been sabotaging government affairs and was attempting to balkanize the country.
Because I do not believe in the politics of ethnicity. I do not believe in the politics of undermining and sabotaging a government that we formed. Sababu tunaambiwa ati tukusanye kama Wakikuyu, tujiondoe kwa hii serikali, tuende tutafuta Kalonzo na Wajakoya na Eugene, ati tutengeneze serikali ingine ya 2027. Na hii tulitengeneza, tuachilie, isaidie wengine.
His sentiments appeared to align with those of a section of Rift Valley legislators who faulted Gachagua for allegedly propagating tribal politics.
Deputy wetu, hata kama tunakupenda, lakini inafika wakati ambaye inakuwa ngumu sana. Maana wewe ukiimba Mount Kenya na mimi nika hapa na sina deputy mwingine, hiyo ni kunitupa mbali.
Ndio maana tukasema kwa minajili ya Kenya moja tumeweka sahihi ya kumwondoa kama impeachment na kura kule bungeni. Hata wenye walitangulia na wenye watapitisha hiyo mswada sio sisi, ni wenzake kutoka mlima.
Na hata hii rais ukikuja kutuomba, tutakuomba respectfully utuachie to deal na hii mtu ambaye ni mndafiki ya mwisho.
National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula Sunday added his voice to the debate.
Ikiwa ni mimi, nitolewe. Akiwa ni Makau, atolewe. Akiwa ni Kamene, atolewe. Ikiwa ni wewe, atolewe. Because we want peace for everybody.
This as Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka slammed the impeachment attempt, accusing the government of attempting to divert the public's attention on public affairs matters.
For the 25th of June 2024 stands out as a very important milestone when the youth of this country, the Gen Zs, literally liberated their country. And therefore we have to build on those gains. Anything else can only be diversionary.
And as debate rages on, Mbeere North MP Geoffrey Ruku hit out at the Deputy President over what he termed as generalization of development issues at the expense of a marginalized Mbeere community.
Huku hakuna majani chai, huku hakuna maziwa, huku hakuna kahawa, huku hakuna avocado, huku hakuna makadamia. Hiyo vitu yote hakuna, na ndio tunahimiza serikali ya William Ruto tujenge barabara, tujenge hospitali, tulete maji ya kulima.
This as a section of clergy in Meru opposed the proposed impeachment motion, calling for a political ceasefire.
And many people think that this is the government of the church. Yes, we supported His Excellency the President together with his deputy, and we voted for them overwhelmingly. And we want to reinstate that it is good for them to work together and finish their term.
John Jacob Curia, Sunday Express.
Thank you, JJ Curia, for that report. Let's look at matters health, where a 12-year-old need of funds to undergo a life-saving kidney transplant after he was diagnosed with an end-stage renal failure. The family of Jeremy Mbao, who has been undergoing dialysis for 4 months, say they have depleted the family resources and cannot afford to raise the 5 million shillings required for the life-saving surgery. They're now pleading with well-wishers to come to their rescue to give him a shot at life. We would like to warn our viewers that some of the pictures may be disturbing.
We catch up with the family of 12-year-old Jeremy Mbao at Wangige in Kiambu County. Jeremy, the firstborn in a family of 4, is lying on the couch. He has just returned from hospital after undergoing dialysis. The side effects of the dialysis are still visible. On this day, he's bleeding from the mouth.
Sometimes you go for dialysis and he can't stop breathing because of the heparin they use. Sometimes when there is something called urea, when they are very high, he also breathes. So he can either breathe out of urea being high, he can also breathe out after dialysis. So the challenge we have is now when the HB is low. When the HB is low, we have to go back to the hospital.
His mother, Mary Wamboi, narrates her struggle with his condition after doctors discovered he was born with 1 kidney at the age of 5. The discovery followed numerous hospital visits after his face began to swell. His only kidney has since been compromised.
But after several dialysis, they just discovered that his had completely failed, and that is now when we started dialysis. But they said that was just a temporary help. He just needed a kidney transplant.
Jeremy, who was in grade 7, was forced to drop out of school in June 2024. He's unable to eat and depends on supplements.
1 bottle costs 750, and he takes 2 daily. So that is 1,500. And then we also have these biscuits. It is also high in calories. It is also supposed to supplement to help him add weight. And we have the calcium because everything goes down after dialysis. You need calcium, so we use these ones.
Jeremy is in urgent need of 5 million shillings to undergo a kidney transplant, with his mother said to be the donor.
In 3 months, he has lost more than 12 kgs. So the doctor's advice is that the sooner the better, because the dialysis is really consuming him. So we consider here in our country, but the timing, in Kenya it takes a lot of time or a longer time for you to be able to have a transplant. Yes, so that is why we prefer abroad, because it might not take that long, because according to the doctor, we don't have all that long.
His parents are currently unemployed and unable to raise the funds.
It is not easy, but we believe that we can do it and we will do it. And Kenyans are generous. So my appeal is anyone who can offer anything, please kindly help us save Jeremy's life, because the only way to save his life is through a transplant.
To assist little Jeremy have a shot at life, you can donate funds to the family through M-Pesa paybill number 5159219, account number, enter your name. I repeat, M-Pesa paybill number 5159219, account number, your name.
We do hope that you can extend a helping hand to Jeremy and his family, and of course we do wish him a quick recovery. Now let's look at sports, where Ethiopia's Milkasha Mengesha yesterday won the 50th edition of the Berlin Marathon in Germany. Mengesha completed the 42-kilometer event in 2 hours, 3 minutes and 17 seconds. Kenya's Cyprian Kotut finished second in 2 hours, 3 minutes and 22 seconds, while Ethiopia's Aleo Hemnot finished third in 2 hours, 3 minutes and 33 seconds. Stephen Kiprop, who was part of the leading pack at 35-kilometer mark, dropped behind to finish fourth. Ethiopia's Tigist Ketamo won the women's title in 2 hours, 16 minutes and 42 seconds. Marathon stars, including Kenyan Eliud Kipchoge and Ethiopian world record holder that is Tigist Asafa, skipped the event after taking part in the Paris 2024 Olympics just over a month ago.
The mayor of Berlin, getting them underway. There they go. The 50th edition of BMW Berlin Marathon is underway. They are racing here in the German capital. The huge crowds here as he approaches the finish line. In the footsteps of the great Haile Gebrselassie, compatriot, the 50th edition of the BMW Berlin Marathon goes to Ethiopia. So Milkasha Mengesha crosses the line there unofficially in 2:03.17. Kotut second for Kenya. And Kotut celebrating, and Ayu rallies to take third place for Ethiopia. Kotut divides the two Ethiopians, and Kiprop finishing in fourth place. But again, in around 2:03.38, that for Kiprop is a personal best by well over 3 minutes. Fabulous running from these fellas. Indeed, all of them running big personal bests. The first four home, underlining these glorious conditions here in the German capital.
Congratulations to the winners, and that's where we end the bulletin this morning. Thank you so much once again for taking the time to start your day with us here on Good Morning Kenya, but we are not yet done. My colleague, that is Victor Olo, is on standby to take you through matters politics on Eye on Politics. My name is Maria Yambo, and hope to see you again next time.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Wagwan, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to share down the place with nothing but the best of smooth way the vibes in your favorite station. You know these things.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She says she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Colder,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa. Hadija ai, mani especially ukisonga.
The young generation awakens on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversations.
It's art, it's culture,
Movies, gossip and trends, sports, drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed.
We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine.
All right, good morning. Welcome back to the program. It's now 7:07 a.m. Being a Monday, the 30th day of September 2024. Welcome to the program. Being a Monday, it's now time for us to get in the political segment and, of course, just take a look at what's happening in the political arena. I hope you all know what is happening, but if you don't worry, because we have 1.5 hours of good politics and just focusing on the current affairs, what is shaping our political segment this particular week and even the past week. Kenya is an interesting place as we are. One thing that is about to happen is something that is completely unprecedented, has never been seen in the history of this country. The impeachment of a deputy president of Kenya is now looming. It's just a matter of when, not how. So today I want us to talk about that. Daniel Orogo joining me on set. Daniel Orogo is Africa Regional Coordinator, Democracy Moves, as well as the Managing Director, Civic Voices Moves. Joining me on set. Daniel, good morning.
Pleasure, good morning.
You are a voice, a moving voice, quote unquote.
I hope so. I hope that Kenyans get to listen to the voices that provide a constructive criticism to the building of this country.
Right.
So I'm glad to be here this morning.
Asante sana. Dr. Evelyn Ogendo is a counseling psychologist. I want us to get your voice. What do you really think is now running in the minds, as a psychologist, what do you really think is now running in the minds of politicians? Allow me to start with that. Good morning.
I think now what is going on, especially in the mountain, okay, there's one part also you didn't say. I also do a lot of, I did my master's in governance.
Great.
So
great.
I'm here on the governance part.
Yes.
Now, what is going on in the minds of politicians?
Now you're speaking as a psychologist now.
Do you want me to speak as a psychologist or as a politician?
Yes. Icebreaker.
Oh, how is it going to be like, if the DP is going to be replaced? Who is going to be the, it's better we deal with what we know than what we don't know. There are those who feel like that. There are those who feel that it may be loud. It may be loud after it has happened. And then there are those who feel it's our turn to do stuff. There are those who feel, there are those who are happy that the mountain is entangled. Because when they are together, when they are together, it's a force. And sometimes they determine the movement of the politics of the country because they have the numbers in the mountain.
Okay.
So it's... it's a quagmire that how did we get ourselves into this?
Okay.
Is there something we could do before we could get into this? And many, especially those who feel like the DP did not conduct himself very well in the past. There are those ones who are feeling like good riddance. It's a whole mix-up. And then the mountain is also feeling, okay, we may not care too much as long as whoever is going to come back there is going to come from Mount Kenya. So we are game whichever way.
More to come. Thank you so much for that. That was a voice test, mic test. I have Lucy Moria, who is a founder of Pro-Aging Organization. She's also Mheshimiwa par excellence. Lucy, good morning.
Good morning.
We were here last week, and it seems that it's like a tap, a click of the finger, and we are here once again.
Yes.
Kenyans are aging pretty fast because of politics. Now that you're pro-aging. Again, quote unquote. What do you make of that?
By the way, good morning,
good
Kenya.
Morning.
And now that I'm here as a pro-aging agent.
Yes.
And tomorrow is the International Day for Older Persons globally. And it is the theme for the year. It is care for the older people and the caregivers. I just want to appreciate the caregivers and everyone who takes care of an older person in any capacity, at home, at the hospital, at the older people's homes, and encourage our people's those who give care. Also reminding our government these people need a lot of skills, and we need to remember them. As we have all these politics, we must remember there's a group here which is actually the largest group right now is older people.
Yes.
And an older person, people in Kenya do not even realize anyone from 60 years and above, it is as per Article 236, it is an older person. So older persons, and that is a range where you have the largest number of years to live. You know, from 0 to 18 is a child.
Yes.
And after 18 to 34 is a youth. But from 60 until infinity, you are an older person. You may live to 100 years. So who has more time to live is that older person. So, yeah, so tomorrow let us all... Yes.
Is politics in Kenya making us old? First?
Oh, yes. It is, because of...
What are you doing about it as a pro-age organization?
That's why I'm here. You know, we don't even have laws. We don't even have policies on older person, more than things that anything would happen to them. And so politicians, and they are making older people actually, and even them, they'll grow old anyway. That's what they forget.
Yeah.
We have a lot of them that actually I meet with and I go to visit.
Okay.
They were senior politicians, but today now they can't even speak for themselves. So I beseech and ask all those ones in politics today, as we discuss the Gachagua and the president, let us remember the aging folks in Kenya.
All right. Okay. So let me start with you again, Daniel. By the way, Wakili George Kithi will be joining us very shortly. So Wakili George Kithi is an advocate of the High Court. He'll be here shortly. All right. So Daniel, let me start with you. What was your highlight the last week into the weekend? What really stood out? Perhaps in 1 minute, if you can.
Well, I think we have just had the international leaders taking the international stage at the 79th session of United Nations General Assembly. I took time to listen and to watch the speeches by a number of leaders and to vet whether their seriousness with the commitment of sustainable development goals and how far each and every country is giving a track record on their performance when it comes to safeguarding issues that are affecting the people, issues that are affecting their country, matters of regional peace and security, but also matter of their commitment at all.
Yes.
I was drawn with a number of speakers. First is the President of the Republic of Kenya, who gave his own track record in terms of the things that Kenya is undertaking in terms of tracking the international policy that Kenya is so much committed to. And in line with that, the President mentioned our commitment as a nation with regards to restoring the regional peace and security. Point of reference is our mission in Haiti. And I think even giving a personal confession, that even as this was shrouded in doubts in the beginning, our troops seems to be doing better in restoring peace in Haiti. That is debatable, as I tell you. Number two, I also listened very keenly to the President of the State of Israel because I was keen to understand what is going on in the Middle East. I was interested to know whether we are finding peace in that region or whether it's an escalating regional war that is ongoing. But I was shocked that Benjamin Netanyahu, as he's known for, walked into the speech with two maps, always doing that. One that shows progress, another that doesn't show progress. But I was committed when he said that they're also committed to peace. And lastly, there are a number of leaders. I could go on and on. So the highlights for me was on the United Nations. But they missed a point to tell us what is their commitment to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, even if it spells that we are only 10 years to the end of Sustainable Development Goals. So that stood out for me, that last week and this weekend. Of course, the weekend, I watched out as Manchester United was humiliated and Arsenal had its way. So I had a very good weekend.
I really...
You saw that coming, eh?
No. I really tried to restrain myself from talking about Manchester United being beaten at home. I really tried. I'm an Arsenal fan, and you know. Okay. Again, Evelyn, what was your highlight of the week?
My highlight of the week is more of why the church feels like we shouldn't solve issues when they come in. I have that type of concern. I saw Bishop Paul Lesapit, trying to make Kenya look like, well, with respect, the people of the cloth. And, but I was wondering why they feel like, you know, every situation needs a solution. Doesn't matter how frequent it comes, but the willingness to solve it. Why they feel that we should not handle the current stalemate in the country. So I have felt like we do not want to take the guilty lane as a country, but we want to have a country that is functional. Yeah. Whichever way, we need to fix the country in such a way that we are not guilty over the crisis that is frequently happening. Clearly, Kenya is in a stalemate as a country. You remember from the Gen Z time, and I think what is very clear is that we have not yet settled down. It is 2 years, going to 3 years. But trying to settle something is better than not trying, if you ask me. So we should be willing that and accept that our country needs some fixing. And what is happening right now, it is we are at the verge of trying to fix what is going on in our country. Yes.
It is our own making. If you say that the country has not settled down 2 years after election, it's our own undertaking.
I wouldn't say that. It's something that we have some control. We do not have full control over it because there are so many personalities involved. When you come to a whole country settling, there's so much involved in it. And you remember the government almost went down. Just a few, it's not even months, I think, from the Gen Z time. I think it's 2 months. Yeah. And I think we are still, the country is still recovering from the aftermath. There are those who lost their loved ones. There are those who have lost their jobs, the ministers who lost their jobs. And we are still looking forward for more changes, so be it. But what we say is, when there is a problem and there is an effort of trying to solve it, so be it. We cannot be in a problem and then we do not want to look like we have problems. We have problems that need solving. Does not matter how frequent they are going to be solved. But the only way to solve a problem does not matter. It is through talking about it and looking at it in terms of trying to bring solutions and lasting solutions this time around.
I like that.
Yeah.
Again, to come to you, Lucy, what was your highlight of the week as you get to the weekend?
Definitely the weekend was very busy with Gachagua again in the mountain, the DP Gachagua, and in the county of Meru. And what's turned out, despite all that, all those talks, it is the Speaker of the National Assembly becoming Assembly, that is Wetangula, is supposed to be an who is elected by the other members of parliament. It is supposed to be totally partisan and not voting actually in any side. But yesterday he stood out actually, and it is in a church, talking on how Gachagua should be impeached. I didn't think that was right, and to me, because of his role as a speaker, I think he turned out to be a member of parliament as well and talk like the other politicians. So that was shocked many Kenyans, myself included. And also another thing is that lately we've been talking about not doing politicking in church. But it has picked up again. Everyone now is in the church. The politics are there again. And so we wonder, like my sister here is saying, what Lesapit was talking about. Let them talk, but still they continue allowing the politicians again to politic in front of the pulpit. Yeah.
Okay. Let me take you through the front page of the local daily pretty fast before we get to the discussion. So, on the front page of the Standard newspaper, MPs to Ruto, DP must be sent home. That is what's on the front page of the Standard. MPs to Ruto, DP must be sent home. It's all about the impeachment that is now looming. It's now apparent that that bill will be tabled before the House at 2:30 p.m. tomorrow. Ahead of the President's meeting with MPs, the leaders are categorical, no discussion about dropping impeachment motion on the Deputy President. That is what's on here. And still on the front page, the Deputy President was in church yesterday and, of course, seeking the divine intervention ahead of the Looming impeachment, why many state projects don't seem to take off. That is, again, story on the front page. We've seen many people taking stock and highlighting some of the government projects that have so far stalled. And our government was a distraction. Basically, again, that is our topic of discussion today. Is it this politics? No, or it's just a matter of diversionary tactic. And what we have here still on the front page is NHIF dies with its scandals and secrets. Tomorrow, Kenyans will wake up to a new health scheme, putting an end to the National Health Insurance Fund that has had its fair share of ups and downs. Again, that is on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Finally, grade 9 preparation in jeopardy, 3 months to roll out. Talk of grade 9 and education. What do you make of this one? Lucy, very fast. Let me start with you. MPs to Ruto, DP must go home. Very quickly on the front page. What do you make of that?
Yeah, they have said they must, and even most people are saying. Last night, I watched his interview with the Mount Kenya East media group. And the questions which you are raising were very pertinent about DP being very, very local, being a mountain DP, Mount Kenya DP, and even the Mount Kenya East, according to the media people who were interviewing him, DP did not seem even to be a DP of even Mount Kenya East. It's Mount Kenya West. So I think people are feeling that DP actually should be styling up, and whoever will be DP, or if he is in there or not, if he has to remain, then he should style up and realize he's a DP for Kenya. But this idea of a DP of the mountain, DP of Mount Kenya, DP of Mount Kenya, it's not a DP of Mount Kenya, and was not just elected by the people of Mount Kenya only anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah. Daniel, it seems that the die is already cast when MPs are telling the president that the DP must go.
Well, I think it's quoting Honorable Silvanus Osoro, who is the majority whip, I think, in the National Assembly. So he says that the matters of impeachment as of last weekend was a matter of not if, but when. And that Honorable Dismas Baraza, quoting him, also said that they have marshalized enough number for the signatures to be able to put up a motion. Around over 230 or something, I think so. Now, there are two issues, a number of issues, and these, may I build a hypothesis around this impeachment thing, Victor? I see this as a point in time where power, politics, and transition comes to play, if you're keen enough. It is a test in our legal processes. It is a test on our political processes. It is equally a test on a number of policy issues. While there is an impeachment motion, and you saw Honorable Mungatana, I was with him a set a while ago before he moved that motion. It was clear that his motion was just a test to see what would be the public opinion. Because you understand, a motion of an impeachment is not initiated in the Senate. It is initiated in the National Assembly and then is sent to the Senate. All right? So as we speak right now, it seems that one, there is a need for a parliamentary group meetings that has not been called. Because the United Democratic Alliance Party, which is the party that is moving this motion, should be able to lead. All right? So as we speak, PG has not been called. There's rumors they're going to call that parliamentary group because the leader, the party leader, I think was in New York. He might have come back and therefore has to chair that particular parliamentary group meeting to make a decision. That is yet not confirmed. There are rumors here and there, it was called, it was not called. I mean, nobody knows. So that is the place where the numbers has to be marginalized. Number two, for requisite number of people to vote for this motion, there needs to be independent, 12 independent members of parliament that needs to support this motion. There needs to be, affiliate Kenya Kwanza members of parliament. ANC, Ford Kenya needs to support this motion. And now comes ODM with a number of around 83 members of parliament in the National Assembly that needs to support this motion. So therefore, I think there is a lot of horse trading even as we speak, night meetings to organize this kind of motion, and it's a political process. Listen, it is a political process, and it has to be dealt with politically. So now as we speak, I think it's a matter of, I quote, whether he's saying it's a matter of if. So the president can call for a PG and say, guys, this is not our priority. I think shelve this process. He has done that before. I think this is the second time this particular motion is gaining momentum. So if he's going to say for the second time, guys, we don't want this impeachment motion, let us concentrate in uniting this country. Or, like Macharia Munene, and I quote him, the professor, say that it should be, that this can also be a poison chalice. What happens when members of parliament from central Kenya, become cowards and do not vote because of the fear of retribution in the ground? So I think this hullabaloo, it is what we are going to see this week, but it is not confirmed whether it's going to proceed or whether people are going to cower and let it go. But either way, it is a political statement that has sent a political statement to some quarters of this country and some sense to an individual. So it's just a political process.
All right. There's so much we have to discuss about this, the impeachment issue. Okay. Dr. Let me get, you can also have your take on the front page before we take a break.
What I'm saying is the prevailing impeachment, according to me, His Excellency, the Deputy President, should not play victim. He has disappointed many Kenyans. I'm not saying the impeachment should rightfully take off, but that is one of the solutions. That's one of the things that was supposed to happen. But of course, there could be other ways of resolving his local way of doing his politics. But I think he has failed in so many fronts. One of them, there's this law in the 48 laws of power. I'm not sure this law number 1, never outshine your boss. You realize it was, what can I say, it was socially very unsettled, and you could not determine what is up to unpredictable during the protests of the Gen Zs. The president is busy addressing the nation and giving us notification, who are so much in high spirits. He is also giving his timing from Mombasa, and then I'm like, what is going on? You're supposed to be in the same household trying to see what do we do. And then the slogan, Ruto must go. So was our deputy, I don't want to judge him as of that, but was he part of that? Because, if according to our constitution and according to what should happen maybe if Ruto was to be impeached, whatever way, so the next president was to be His Excellency DP Gachagua. Was he wanting to work on that? Did he look like he was going to be a beneficiary of the stalemate of the Gen Z? That is the question. Was he part of those protests for him to take the seat? Did he threaten his boss in any way? Because you realize him clearly, and he has not addressed his issues of just being in the mountain. And I'm hearing today, I thought it's the entire mountain, but it's partly in one side of the mountain. And the country is in a sort of a quagmire in the sense that the people basically, charity begins at home, but his acts were not charitable enough to keep off the impeachment. Here it is, the members of parliament from the mountain, most of them, they were the first ones to put in their signature. So what does it inform the other Kenyans? We have no any otherwise, because there is nobody who's going to identify him or herself with the DP, because even the time he was doing his around the country, like a reconciliation kind of a thing, like the bonding that was happening, clearly you would see them, they are with the president physically, but mentally they are not. There was no chemistry between them, that this is the head of state and that this is the deputy head of state. There was no correlation of that. And then I'm like saying, because I'm sure if he's impeached, which I think for some reason has to go on, and I'm thinking if he has to redeem himself. See, you remember, according to our constitution, if he is going to be impeached, If he's going to be impeached, he's not going to be in any public office. So he should be in a catch-22 right now, in the sense that if he intends to compete with the president at any point in life, at any political seat, he needs to resign, if you ask me. You know, according to me, the worst has not happened, but it's about to happen if he starts to redeem himself. But I think it's so inevitable as right now as we speak. Because if his own people have said no, what other option do other Kenyans have? This is going to be a walkover in parliament. This is going to be a walkover.
Okay, let's take a break. This is a breakfast show, and I want to serve you tea. I'm that good. I'm that good. I want to serve you tea. Daddy Lorugu is looking at me like, oh, no, what
Make
are
sure
you
it
doing?
has
Take a break. I did that coffee. Shortly. Stay with us.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
Okay, welcome back. So I'm the only one who doesn't have a cup of coffee, but I'm going to have. My guests already have their cups. Yeah, so we are good. That's good. Karibuni.
Asante.
All right, so let's get back to the discussion. But before that, how about I get you through the front page of the remaining two papers. I have the Star. UDA wipe operating illegally, audit shows. Only Raila Odinga's ODM party found to have the required number of branches across the counties. That is what of the front page of the Star newspaper. UDA wiper operating illegally according to the audit. Findings raises queries on why registrar has allowed the non-compliance to persist. That is what is on the front page of the Star newspaper. Again, regard the 6th divine intervention to avert impeachment. One man before the pulpit and the clergy kneeling down. It comes a time even the strongest will have to kneel down before the throne. It's a paradox. It's a complete paradox. I don't know how it is. Okay, so government blames cartels after 367 title deeds go missing. 367 title deeds go missing. DP Gachagua's supremacy battle with the Kindiki leaves Mount Kenya elders divided. Okay, and then Kalonzo cancels rallies in Kitengela after Azimio chiefs denied church access. It's an interesting time to be alive in this country. An interesting time to be alive in this country. Finally, the front page of the Daily Nation. Stolen title deeds, mystery deepens. Title, stolen title deeds. That is what is here. Mystery deepens. 367 of them missing. And none of them probably is a quarter or an eighth of a piece of land. Chances are they are more than that. 2 conflicting statements, stolen security papers and infiltration of the government printer have exposed how daring corruption cartels raided an installation supervised by State House and revealed the extent of land fraud in the country. That is what is here. The security documents can be used to forge title deeds and commit land fraud. That is brazen, so to speak. Nothing much. Again, the front page, impeachment loading, defining week for Ruto Gachagua feud. The DP was in charge. Again, we've discussed about that. So, Lucy.
Yes.
Do you have a copy of the title deed?
You know, actually, yes. Actually, as you talk,
you have a copy of 367 of them?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm saying as you talk about the title deeds being stolen, did you know actually, I am 100%, 50% or 80, between 50 and 80% of the stolen ones, they are for older people. Yes, that's how they change. They take their land. And those are the cases now we are handling. That's one of the biggest ways of abusing older persons in Kenya.
There's a statistics to that?
Yes, it is there. So you find in areas where even they kill them and just change. In Kisii, older people, they are witches. Kilifi, they are witches. Especially those who live anywhere close to the beaches.
That's a strong word on a national television.
No, it is there. These are things we are saying. You know, no one is really aware of what is happening with the older persons. One of the biggest issues we are handling in Kilifi, Kisii, and Nyamira is that one of taking their land. They are being killed. These people, they are termed to be witches. They are not witches. Usually older ones.
They are alleged to be.
They are alleged to be witches. And then someone just kills and takes their land.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised among those 367, among them, if we look, they are for innocent older people who are not even aware of it. Some of them have lost their mind. They don't even know.
Yeah.
This last weekend, I visited some who live as IDPs since 2007, older people are 90-year-old. I visited, and what she was talking about is my land. It was already taken where she used to live. She worked all her life to safeguard her land, and now she is living as an IDP in Kieni, after being chased away from her land in Joro those years. She is 90 years old. The memory she has, the trauma she has, it's about my land. So these lads, I will not be surprised. They are for those older people. Remember, there are people also, when we created those many IDP there who used to own their land somewhere before the clashes, people who left their land. And what happened to it, no one knows. And they used to have those papers, and today they don't have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Daniel, an interesting time. It's a chunky issue.
Well, I think you even made it a little bit scary by saying that the printing is supervised by State House.
By State House, yes.
So that really makes the matter very aggravated. I wonder if something that is supervised by the higher office would just fizzle out without accountability, what is the fate of other processes that are really manned by the ordinary mwananchi? It is very interesting times, as you alluded to. Before we went for a break, I wanted just to have a rejoinder. Victor, you were questioning about the impeachment, and I always give a fair assessment to a situation. I think the issue that is on us passion here is the presidency. These two were elected as a pair, and therefore there needs to be interrogation of the office. All right? There are a number of issues that have been raised to the persona and to the office of the deputy president. And some of it are matters that require investigation, and authorities, like you've seen, those that you've mentioned as part of his allies, have been invited to give their statements to the Directorate of Criminal Investigation. I think, as a Kenyan, I would be very worried about different hypotheses that are being built, different theories, especially when people are calling to account on how the Gen Z movement was sponsored by who and who. There have been faltering, there have been differing opinion on in regards to who sponsored that particular protest. Victor. So, in one end is internally sponsored, in one end is externally sponsored.
Yeah.
So I am a Kenyan looking at the real investigation and the outcome. But what I have been treated to as a Kenyan is a political mudsling, is a process that we don't know until it's concluded. So I am for the opinion that as a Kenyan, just like I've said in my opening statement, it is time that the judiciary and the judicial process is going to be tested. What happens to the impeachment portion? What happens? How does it happen for the first time? The precedent that it will cause and setting a pace for other previous impeachment motions. I think this is one of the things that is quite interesting to say. The other one is what you've said, Victor. What happens if not? And this is why I said probably a poison chalice. What happens? Would this bolster the deputy president now as a political figure? Right? The man is reading a script from the president. This is what was going on. And when you flashed a picture about prayers, I mean, Victor, I hope that you would go into the library of KBC and produce the headlines that were there in the run-up to election.
Yes.
Then you will see the similar pictures of prayer. You see the similar pictures of rallies. You see the similar picture of everything from the president. So I am a Kenyan. I am interested. If we have a debate of impeachment, that debate must be very holistic.
Yes.
We must interrogate the entire office, not only an individual, with the merits. And I'm happy Wakil is here to give us an understanding of what then is the outcome of proper investigation and how that is spelled to Kenyans beyond a political process that we are seeing.
Just to be fair to Wakili Keith, he's not part of the investigating.
No, I'm saying from a legal practitioner.
No, is he going to initiate? Who's going to initiate the investigation?
Or maybe he's planning to initiate one. Wakili, what a better way to welcome you to the show. Karibu. Are you investigating something?
Well, many things, but not this one.
Okay. It's good to be clear. Welcome to the program.
Asante sana.
Okay, I'll come back to you shortly. So look at it, Daktari. I mean, the whole thing is here. The issue of title deed.
Me, what I have and what everybody else knows about this country, you know, title deeds, title deeds is just a sample of the level, you know, the level of corruption in our country, Kenya, the quote-unquote permissiveness of power, like my person is in power, and I'm not quoting anybody in mind, but my person is in power, I can get away with everything. How about those talking of the stolen, that is one of the ways of trying to actually get them, according to me. I want to speak as a psychologist, I want you to allow me for a moment. But those talking at title deeds, I don't know how many, 3 what? They have been lost.
7.
How about they are somewhere and, you know, there's a way you can say this thing is lost. So that when you see things, if they get thick, they'll be found. If they don't get thick, they're not going to be found. How about that is one way of testing the waters for those chunks of land to be taken away, whatever, by whoever has that scheme in it. So my thinking is that is just a sample. The title disappearing is one of the indicators. We have many indicators of corruption in this country, and that is one of them. But my prayer is, let us not play a rough game on our people who have invested in their properties, especially the old. Let us be fair. Let us be at a point that life is not about acquiring. Life is about coexisting in peace, coexisting in a manner that we are different, we accept each other's diversity, and still coexist because we belong not only as being human beings, but we also belong in a country that we need to be fair to each other. So my plea is, if the title deeds are not very far, please just give those people their land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
who said that everything is vanity? Was it Paul or somebody in the Bible?
I think that is true. But if we can, you know, the way we are taking tea here and we are coexisting, and then we are like, oh, Wakili, how are you? You've come, what's happening? I was in the jam and now I'm here. Are you seeing? And then we are fine, give him a cup of tea. And, you know, that's a quality life. But now if we want to test our quality life, to quantify it in the amount of what you have become after being next to power, of being in power, does not give you inner peace. Exactly. And I think we do not know how to drive inner true peace in ourselves.
Okay. Wakili, there is a story here, just to be fair to you. Looking at the front page, stolen title deeds, mystery, depends. Again, the issue here is some of them are being supervised by the State House. That is the story here. 37 of them are gone. Front page of the Star newspaper, UDA, Wiper, operating illegally, according to the audit. Only ODM has branches across the counties. So, according to the auditor, the two parties are operating illegally. Lastly, on the front page of the Standard newspaper, MPs to Ruto, DP must be sent home. That is what is here on the 3 pages. Perhaps a minute to start with you, to be fair as well.
Well, let me start with the title deeds, because that's our forte in legal practice. Then we come to the politics. You see, at the advent of this country, we did not have anything called title deeds. We lived as a community. We never commercialized land. Land was held communally. But then the white man, and to, I think, our naivety, we agreed to commercialize land. And therefore, land is the most emotive issue in this country, away from politics, for the reason that no man shall live in the air or water or whatever. He must live in land. It doesn't matter how many people are born today. It doesn't matter how many we multiply ourselves in terms of numbers. We must live on land. The access to anything, including investment, is a component of land as a primary factor of production. And therefore, the existential threat to man is when land is threatened in the first place. Today, we have wars. Russia, Ukraine, in the Middle East, on account of land. So the issue of land does not end up today. But by the way, even the history of the Bible is replicated with the issue of land and promised land and Canaan, and even the politics of today, we talk of promised land, whatever that is. I've never been there anyway. So the point is, if you commercialize land, because other African countries haven't commercialized land, if you don't put proper structures where you manage land, then it is a problem, and it can be chaotic, like it is today. What happens at lands is that there's a lot of brokerage, lots of it. Brokerage from every corner you turn. Now, the reason is because those that have gone to school are illiterate and literate. All of them know what to do with land. A person can market land to you, doesn't belong to him, parcel it out, give you title deeds, and other title deeds and other title deeds. The registrars have now been left out. The surveyors at the Survey of Kenya have not been left out. So it's a whole system of Kenyans fighting for this resource called land. But eventually, what happens is because we have commercialized land. If you have land, you have wealth in this country. The more land you have, the more wealth you have. And you could have anything, but if you don't have land, your wealth will be threatened. We know we have these virtual things called shares, stocks, and everything. They go up and down. And COVID comes, and any pandemic comes, or a war comes, or whatever threat comes, you lose it. Land always appreciates.
Okay.
So the main problem is we have therefore refused to factor our customary acquisitions and proprietorship of land and looked at the commercial aspect of it. I will tell you, for instance, back home, boundaries were meant for purpose of socio-economic purposes of the area. If there's a tree, if there's a certain, until that becomes a property of the two people who are bordering each other. But when you come and you parcel it out in a manner of science, science excludes customary traditions. And therefore, that becomes a component.
Yes.
But coming to the lost titles, it is because human beings are scrambling for that resource. It is not something that is going away today. We have tried to digitize. And by the digitization process was, in fact, being done by the military.
So it's...
and even that did not help up to today. So it means that the endemic problem is not going to go away. Yes, technology will help. I think we should digitize. But even the process of digitization...
I had, former CS here of lands, Farida, was here some years ago talking about digitization of the land, all manner of things. But we still have people infiltrating in the system and...
when you're digitizing land, you use human beings to input information. There must be some input of a certain information. The wrong information is going to be put. You just need to find your way so that that information you want to be put is put.
As you put it, is even in the good book, the issue of promised land, it was all about land. It was all about there. But Solomon said, all is vanity until you, All right, so ladies and gentlemen, the issue of the deputy president impeachment is here. And let me take you through some of the grounds. One is violation of Article 10 of the national values and principles of governance. That is also in violation of Articles 147, 148, 174, 186, and 189. Also, violation, that is Article, exactly, let me continue. It's also that he's being accused of corruptly and unlawfully acquiring assets using taxpayers' money. That is one of the accusations leveled against the deputy president. Again, it's violation of both national and international law. Again, undermining National Cohesion and Integration Act, violation of Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act. There's also another one, violation of the Proceeds of Crime and Money Laundering Act, violation of the Penal Code and the Leadership and Integrity Act. And finally, unjustifiably and unlawfully making scathing attacks. So let's start. These are a myriad of accusations against the deputy president. And the MPs are now hell-bent that he has to go home. So let me start with you, Lucy. With all these accusations, all of them read to him one by one. I mean, this is just too much for one person.
Now, the question is, all these accusations, I'm sure they did not, although I'm not saying that I'm for what the deputy president is doing. Those things did not happen like in one day or last week or just the day they decided to. If it's violation, the violations must have started step by step. Why were they not stopping him? Why were they not asking? Until Gachagua himself started talking. The DP is when he started talking, is when now they start talking about impeachment. When the impeachment started looming is when we knew, and this is when they started talking about all this. If those accusations are true, then it is bad. I can attest to some of them, especially like dividing Kenyans and being a DP of a section of people, always talking about my people. This is a guy who is supposed to be a national leader, a national DP, a DP for everyone. What he is purporting is that all regions should have their own DP to present their issues. Now the Mount Kenya is broken into two. The Mount Kenya East is saying, oh, he is not also presenting our issues. We need someone to present our issues. So I have to blame the members of parliament here, because all these accusations did not just happen in one day. If they saw them happening, they should have talked about it. Maybe we would have saved something. Maybe these divisions would not be there. Maybe they would have even helped the president and his deputy to work together and say, hey, something is happening here. DP, you need to slow down. Where are they? Were they planning? Is it intentional? Yeah. Was it like intention? They were like, when is this going to happen? And it is actually like it is being planned. It is intention. Last week, you saw some women endorsing Waiguru. So they are in readiness of a new DP. So this is something that has been planned.
You mean?
Yes.
That was the third meeting.
Sorry?
That was the third meeting in Kirinyaga.
No, they endorsed her.
And you think it's...
And now they endorse this person, the endorsing is from the mountain. That means now, just in case this one goes, because he has to go, like they are saying. We saw Gachagua jana yesterday. He's from the mountain. He's saying, for sure, I was the first one even to put my signature. So he is like on his way out. Were they planning for him to go out? Is there noise of impeachment? Is it because they really care about him not
I think the G7
injuring?
had a meeting in Machakos a month or two ago.
Who?
The G7 summit.
Yeah.
Whatever happened in Kirinyaga was a G7 summit.
But
they started in Homa Bay, they went to Machakos.
But still,
County.
they are Kenyans. They are also Kenyans.
Could we treat it as just a coincidence that this is happening and they also had a G7 summit in Kirinyaga?
Then why endorse Waiguru?
The same happened in Machakos.
No, why endorse Waiguru? This one, they were particularly saying to be DP when DP is impeached. So it's like they knew. This is something which has been planned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Daniel, politics is a crazy thing. I mean, the way you look at it, from whichever part you look at it, but when you look at all these allegations leveled against the deputy president, what do you make of this? Heavy. Some of them are, not all of them are constitutional accusations. Yes.
And it's not the first time. I mean, some of these, they lack a clear merit on its substance on itself. Because, like I've said, us sitting here, probably some of us are affiliated to different political factions. Some of us are having different orientations and opinions. But looking at it from a Kenyan perspective, Victor, tell me who in that House, National Assembly, can be exonerated from some of those accusations. Parliament in itself should be dissolved because it is now not even constitutional even as we speak, for not meeting 2/3 gender. So these, we are talking about an unconstitutional House trying to impeach somebody. So there are so many fronts that then we can take, if it is a matter of legal conjuncture, political issues that are taking place right now. But given the context that we are talking about the impeachment of a deputy president, and this is what we kept. This has been a debate for 2 weeks now, whether it's the right time for the country to be having a conversation of impeachment. And I saw your headlines, you're putting it there very clearly. Is it politics or is something that is being a distraction? Every time there is a huge debate on a national discourse at this particular magnitude, the question I keep asking myself as a Kenyan is, what are we being distracted from? What is it that is not really concluded? That a matter that really it's not important, is not a priority to Kenyans is being put to stage. So going into it, Victor, I have put myself to understand that there might be issues. And every one of us who is delving into politics, we all know politics is local, is contextual. Any one of these particular party principles, Victor, goes back to their backyard. They speak their mother tongue, right? Every one of them. You meet honorable members of parliament, members of governors, going back to their backyard. How would you address, the people there? Honorable Raila Odinga goes back to Nyanza. He speaks to a local person there. The president goes back to his backyard. He speaks to the people in a language that they understand. Yeah. So sometimes I look at this particular accusation. Is it a matter of exaggeration? Even if it's a matter of, being told about the violation of Article 10, probably that is what they are saying, is that he probably not a uniting factor. He is speaking about, certain points or certain regions for a long time better than other regions. And to the office, what is expected of him as someone who should be showing that he is a face of a national unity, because that is the presidency I keep on mentioning. So has he gone to the extremes and probably now drawn back his office, doing things that is not in line with office? That is probably a discourse. But for me, I'm looking at this in terms of its merits. And I'm not here to quantify whether he should be impeached or not. I am just saying that there is no honor among the thieves. Everyone is culpable here. Everyone, if you read out all those charges, and just like you keep on mentioning about, the promised land is biblical. You mentioning about what is vanity is biblical in Ecclesiastes. I would draw you to the attention where Jesus is meeting about the woman who was accused and wanted to be stoned. And he asked, he who is clean, let them do what? Cast the first stone. Amongst these guys, these members of parliament, those particular senators,
including from the top to down. Who is clean on these particular issues? Let us ask ourselves then. If it's a matter of that conversation, let's begin to ask who amongst these people cannot really, these charges cannot be a level against them, Victor.
Victor,
right.
maybe, is it okay you allow me to ask him a question?
After break? You can ask that question, then we'll answer after the break.
Yeah,
ask the question.
So my question maybe would be to you. I've really tried to listen, and you know, usually when you listen, you want to pick a point. You want to have a take home. And I would like, for me to have a take home, I'd like to ask you maybe one question. According to you, this impeachment is not, it's hurriedly, and it's not worth the process right now. Is it that you feel like the deputy president is being victimized and they should not be taken through the process? Or maybe what is your view? Because you have used a number of words that I'm trying to pick one.
Okay.
Is it that you don't want him to be impeached, or you feel like impeached, or you feel like he's been victimized, or you feel like there are other ways to do it?
Very
like
good.
you are for the DP not to be impeached.
That question to be answered.
I would answer it
immediately after this break.
At least you should know that there is honor among thieves. There is honor.
What
there is honor.
There is honor.
Which one?
This one is to the
There
one
is
who
no
is
honor
not.
amongst thieves.
No, just
let me tell
which
you.
one? No,
Let me tell you something.
I agree.
Because
I
you're
agree
stealing,
on that.
because you're stealing my time.
Yes.
So you don't have any honor. We'll be right back.
I am in love. What? With your suti.
My name is Posire Marupe, and I was told to come to this class.
No wonder. You know, some of us pay our own school fees. We do not have the so-called daddies to pay for us. Can you imagine me and Will Smith are literally buddies? Sorry, Jada.
How would you like if I pay your fee alias?
Kilanzwin, that is not enough even for dowry.
You concentrate. Who is paying your dowry?
Yes.
Hapa nyuma mkae na huyu mama. Umesema nini? Nimekuchagia mtori ama umesema ina nyama.
Unanipurutia nini?
Hebu ongea bila kulia.
Mheshimiwa. Angalia tena nimesahau mahali nafaa kwenda. Madhalao ni wewe kuniangalia mimi. Msijana mdongo.
Wewe hata ni ile maitwa generation boom. Mandasi inatoka England, Crystal Palace inakuja kama inawaka mosi na bobu nitume mama tutakula tano. Sasa niruhusu nipigie nduru hapa.
Enda ukipiga nduru hivi.
Okay, so at least there is some honor. There is some.
I hope it's just kick.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Delete you.
But that's your opinion.
Let's start from where we should. There are leaders who over the weekend spoke. Perhaps, Director, we can have.
I was asked a question.
I'll come back to that.
All right.
Kindly. Director, just play so that we can get context on what you're talking about at this point.
There is an impeachment motion against the Deputy President, and as Member of Parliament for Kikuyu, I have already appended my signature to it. And I will support that impeachment motion to stop a process where government is being undermined and sabotaged from within government. ili yale mambo tuliwaambia tutawafanyia tuweze kuyatekeleza.
Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula Sunday added his voice to the debate.
Ikiwa ni mimi, nitolewe. Akiwa ni Makau, atolewe. Akiwa ni Kamene, atolewe. Ikiwa ni wewe, utolewe. Because we want peace for everybody.
This as Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka slammed the impeachment attempt, accusing the government of attempting to divert the public's attention on public affairs matters.
For the 25th of June, 2024 stands out as a very important milestone when the youth of this country, the Gen Zs, literally liberated their country. And therefore we have to build on those gains. Anything else can only be diversionary.
Na ndio nimepita hapa, nitapita hapo Runyenjes, Chuka mpaka Meru. Niongee na watu wetu waniambie kama wanataka tukae tukiwa kitu kimoja.
A day after the country's second-in-command dead legislators were reported to have signed his impeachment motion.
Hakuna mtu mwingine anaweza nitoa kwa kazi isipokuwa nyinyi. Kweli ama uongo? Kweli ama uongo?
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua continued with the onslaught on the lawmakers engineering his ouster, terming the motion to remove him from office as a political witch hunt.
Tufanyie watu ya Kenya kazi kwa sababu tulichaguliwa miaka miwili peke yake. Na hatujafanya ile kazi ambayo wananchi wanatarajia tufanye. Tungetaka tuombe, tupunguze maneno mingi, zote tushikane, tufanyie wa Kenya kazi. Kwa sababu hawa Wakenya walituchagua wakiwa na matumaini makubwa sana. Na hawakutuchagua tupigane, turumbane, tupanganie, tukue na maneno ambayo haifai.
Rigathi, who joined the faithfuls at the church service in Meru County, urged the country to pray for him and his boss, President William Ruto, to overcome the current turbulence within the ruling party.
Bishop, mimi sina maneno mengi, mimi nimeshukuru sana kwa maombi. Please continue praying for our country. Let us pray for our president. Let us pray for the government. Let us pray for our leaders. It is my hope that sanity will prevail. We tone down on politics of division, siasa ya kumalizana, siasa ya furugu.
Gachagua stated the government is yet to realize most of its goals and leaders ought to forego politics so that they can be achieved.
And as we do whatever we are doing in the political space, it is my prayer that we should always respect the will of the people. The will of the people is supreme. Elections were done. President and I were elected on the joint ticket for 5 years, and that is the will of the people. Let us not fall into the temptation of overturning the will of the people through other methods.
This comes as Gachagua alleged that his political detractors were hell-bent on kicking him out of office while giving support to the impeachment motion.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, you've heard different leaders speaking, starting from Kimani Ichung'wah, Majority Leader, Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, Kalonzo Musyoka, Leader of Wiper, and now DP Rigathi Gachagua. Daniel, I'll come back to you. Your question still stands. But Wakili, all these allegations are heavy allegations. And when you hear this leader speak, something is apparent that is now cast on stone. What do you make?
Well, the allegations that have been leveled against the DP, that's a charge sheet containing charges against him, and all of them are valid. All of them are valid because they're true. To the extent that it is in the public domain on how he's characterized himself. You see, a character comes out after many incidents of a behavior. It is from there that I personally feel he's not my deputy president. He represents a part of Mlima. He doesn't talk about the problems I have or we have at home, the roads, early child pregnancy. He doesn't talk about the drought. He doesn't talk about the famine. He doesn't address Maasai issues. He's not addressing Samburu issues. He's not addressing Kamba issues. He is addressing Mlima issues. If you go cheap, we'll treat you as much, because that's your character. So if we've elevated you into deputy presidency elevated, not yourself, we did. But then you abuse the office by consistently, persistently, insistently, continuously talking about a certain area in the country every day, using our taxpayers' money. We're not going to feel sympathy for you. You see, trying to derive sympathy out of this situation by saying, we pray for you. I'm not going to pray for him. I'm not going to pray for him. He started it. He started by disrespecting me, that I don't matter having put him in the office, but it matters that his people should not be touched. It is Kenyans not to be touched, not a certain people not to be touched. So he's basically emotionalized the entire nation against him. You can't go back and beg for prayers. Prayer to who? To the same God that you abuse when you've been given power to that office? If power is given by God, then he is abusing God himself. So the point is, we are not going to sympathize. Personally, I will not. In fact, I'm going to pray the opposite. The reason is, he has already demonstrated to me that he can't represent me. You see, we have biases. Completely, as human beings, we are prone to biases. Meaning, therefore, as an ethnic group, we have to have biases. As a clan, we have to have biases. As a profession, lawyers, doctors, we have to have biases. But I tell you that those biases ordinarily are contextual. During politics, you definitely have to look at certain things. Has this guy gone to school? Is he a Muslim? Is he a Christian? It's allowed under the Constitution to have certain biases, content of which the sum total of the more the bias, then the person gets into office. But when it is time to serve as it is now, why then pronounce yourself as a leader of a certain place? If he's saying that it is time to serve Kenyans. Wasn't it time to serve Kenyans when he told me on my face that certain people in this country must not be touched? I'm a professional, I'm a lawyer, so why should he tell me that? In a sense, he was abusing the office that I took him to serve me, and to serve many other Kenyans. Suffice to say, the charge on abuse of office therefore stands.
So do you think it's politics or a diversionary tactic?
It is both. It is both politics and works for any other political issue. The issue here is, this is a legal process because it is in law. But then when law and politics fuse or merge, then it becomes a very big force. When law and politics are in competition and there's friction, it is politics that is dominant. Because politics is emotional, whereas law is logical. So when you emotionalize such an issue, the whole country rallies against something or for something.
Which I think it is the situation.
So here, what you need to do
very
is...
emotionalized.
Yes, you need to emotionalize it to take traction. And therefore, that we are discussing because it gets emotional. Look at the way I've presented it. Yes, there's emotional touch in it, for the reason that he emotionalized it himself. You see, he started something that he cannot deal with.
Daniel, chime into that.
Which I think Wakili has admitted. Anything that is emotionalized sometimes loses logic. And that to some extent. And that is what I was talking about.
So the legal bit of it becomes...
You see, the legal bit of it, that's what I'm saying. If there are prosecutorial powers in institutions that have called, forth his, the likes of his affiliates to be responsible, for some issues that are accused of, that process is still going on. Who knows whether he's accountable to that process or not? Those remains allegations, like you're saying. So secondly, I was asked a question here, and I said I was going to answer it, that I think it is a misplaced priority where we stand as a country. We've soon just got up from the protests that have been mentioned here. There are issues that were raised there. The quest for institutional reforms that were raised. And these were pointed directly to where the buck stops with. I think the president has tried so much enough to place some political equilibrium on some of these issues that were mentioned. Tensions were quelled down, and there's a process to address some of these needs. Just as we were doing this, then allegations around whether we are having our airport still as a country, a very important national asset to this country, that the issues that should be answerable to now as Kenyans. And then we bring up an impeachment motion. That's what I'm saying. It could be something worth listening to
But I don't think it's something that should be given a priority to this country. Because it's not important as what Kenyans should be treated to right now. So I'm not saying it's not something that is not important. I'm saying we should not be prioritizing matters that are not important to the citizens of this country. You understand? Yeah, that was my point. That was my...
Let me ask Let me say, before she can take it up. When he said Haji has to go, in the manner that he prosecuted him in public,
yes,
was it wrong or right at that time? So why is it right or why is it wrong, according to him now? And he mentioned Haji in the terms that he did last time. When he prosecuted Haji in the public court of opinion, it was wrong. He had ways of addressing it. Yes. Now that we are prosecuting him in public, it should be right. If it was right then, it should be right even now.
Why is it right? Why is it right to question the deputy president? Why is it not right to answer as to why certain number of Kenyans have not still given justice until now?
Let me hear
the
from
protest.
That's
why is that not important to ask?
Valid question, Dan.
Yeah. Why is that important
to ask? Yes, Lucy.
The Kenyan DP is just trying to play victim.
Yeah.
He's just trying to, playing with people's emotions. He's asking very well about the Haji's case.
Yes.
What did he do to him in public? When he became the deputy, immediately he started telling Kenyans the government belongs to some people. It belongs to stakeholders, to shareholders.
I'm told your mic has a problem. I'll fix it.
Okay.
Okay, you can take it.
What I'm saying, like I earlier said, let the DP not play victim. And the matter of Samaki was kutoka kwa kichwa. When we have a dysfunctional office of the deputy president is a matter of priority. So I'm trying to tell you is that the matter of the impeachment of the deputy president is very pertinent and it should be prioritized and given the attention that it has been given. Remember when the DP was getting into power, he had glaring cases that were waived, that was acquitted. He had glaring cases when he got into power. So he got away with it. He has not forgotten about that. My main issue with the deputy president is these allegations were already communicated to him. When they were having issues, when he was being told he's a local leader, he's a what leader. Instead, he went to the mountain and put off his phones for 2 weeks. That was the time he was supposed to solve. Yes, it is good to pray, but you need to do something about it. God will not come today and stand here and give you solutions to your problems. You have to work towards solving those problems. What did he do? He went to the mountain.
So what is this diversionary tactic, and what are we being diverted away from?
He is diverting.
The question I'm asking that is the pertinent question.
I've not finished what I was saying.
No, we are going to answer it. It's not a difficult question.
What is the diversion? There should be.
The diversion or no diversion, the deputy president has a problem and he needs to be impeached. And the Kenyans don't want him, beginning from the leaders of Mount Kenya. I am a Kenyan, he is a Kenyan, he is a Kenyan, everybody has an opinion.
There is no opinion poll.
When your opinion is divergent, does not mean other people cannot think differently.
And you can't think on behalf of Kenyans.
I have the freedom. I am a Kenyan, my 2 sons are Kenyans, and we all don't want the deputy president.
I am a Kenyan too, and I have not said that
you are a Kenyan with a divergent idea. You are a Kenyan with a divergent idea. So it does not mean that your opinion has to prevail because other people feel differently.
You too. That's what I'm saying.
You are just one of the small percentage that insists that the deputy president still makes sense.
And we are Kenyans that you mentioned.
And it does not make sense in this country anymore.
And we are Kenyans. That's what I'm saying. I agree with Daktari. When you say Kenyans, there is no... Sometimes we speak for records. And you say we are on a national set. And, our opinions are accountable to people. When you say that other Kenyans or Kenyans do not want, how can you attribute that? Which Kenyans do not want him? I am not exonerating anyone here. If you have an opinion, and I respect every opinion, collectively, where has Kenyans said that we do not want the deputy president? An opinion polls have shown that a majority normally if there was an opinion poll yesterday, because I was just responding to that.
No, let him address that.
All right? Number 2, as Wakili picked it up, you asked a very important question, and I alluded to, what are we being distracted from? That is the question we keep on asking ourselves here. Well, we agree that there are merits towards that impeachment motion, and I agree to some extent. That is what I was saying. If you stand on a national stage and represent something that is towards like your ethnic community, that is a question that should be asked. When the allegation of investigation against you and you are sitting in the office of that caliber, that is a question that has been asked. But why is it that you, amongst the many, including the parliament that want to impeach you, that the courts have found unconstitutional? Why are Kenyans not questioning that?
So there is
Why
no diversion. There's nothing we are
the question is.
So what's your point?
Right?
What's your point?
What's the point?
I think it's a double speak, misplaced priorities, and that is what I've been saying on this set.
Let me explain.
Let me explain.
Yes, Lucy.
The DP is distracting people. He started it.
Not the other way around.
Not the other way around. It's not even the members of parliament who started the impeachment process is the one who started talking about. What are we being distracted from? Kenyans are suffering. They have so many things we should be talking about right now. Just a while ago, you say an appeal of medical appeal for children here on the TV. This is an issue that is affecting a regular Kenyan in Mount Kenya and elsewhere. Kenyans. We are deviating. We should be talking about the education system. Remember the system which was brought about the university students. That one is pending as per now. Here you are talking about 367 land being, titles being stolen. That is an issue. And most of them, like I said, is affecting the older people who cannot read, who cannot go to, do you say it is put in digitalized? They don't even know what is digital. They have not been educated on it. Those are issues. Yeah? Older persons are suffering. People are suffering. Kenyans are talking about the stealing of the airport.
Exactly.
That is an issue which is there. If he's a really serious DP for every Kenyan, he should be telling us what is happening with the Adani case.
He mentioned that in the interview.
Why is he so selfish? It's just about himself. Why is he so selfish going around the Mount Kenya, short waving in local languages? I was so happy last night. The media from Mount Kenya East, they came. He's trying to speak. They are talking. He's trying to speak in the vernacular. Some of them are talking in Kiswahili so that Kenyans can hear. Why is it about him all the time? We need people who are serious. He needs to be impeached. If that impeachment, he brought it. It's not the impeachment which he started. It is him who is telling us about the impeachment. We never even heard the president talk about it. I'm not defending any of them.
Okay, you
but
said you
this one is not a DP for Kenyans.
The question is, politics or diversion didactic? Wakili, you said you'll answer that.
Yes.
I'm interested.
First, I want to say this. Our laws are this way. That the fact that the prosecutor is a thief does not mean he can prosecute you. So the prosecutor could have stolen, you could have stolen, he's put there as a prosecutor who will take you through the charges. So you can't accuse Parliament of prosecuting him for being illegally there. We are saying it is mandated in law for now to prosecute him. He should prosecute him. And that's a mandate in law. So let us deal with the context of the constitution of Parliament, if it is illegal or legal, in a different issue. The issue that is clear here is the Deputy President guilty of the charges that have been leveled against him? It is simple, and he'll defend himself. He'll have the time. I have said, however, the content of those charges is both legal and both political. And he, when he got into the office of Deputy Presidency, knew there are consequences, including an impeachment. He knew that there can be an impeachment any other day. So that he behaved in a manner to derive and invite an impeachment is solely a personal issue. It is not for the public whatsoever. And if he's guilty of those charges, criminal charges and any other charges are also personal. They're not for me. So he has to deal with this issue as he invited unto himself. And we all agree he invited those issues into himself. The second issue, are we being diverted from something? Yes and no. For the Puritan approach of the fact that the Deputy President committed those offenses, I think there's no diversion there. But for the fact that there are issues that are pending that were getting hotter by the day, including the Adani issue, yes, it takes a backseat at the behest of the impeachment of the Deputy President. But it doesn't mean that we shall not revisit the Adani issue or we cannot do it now. In fact, wait, we can do it concurrently. During the Gen Z's protest, for instance, we as Kenyans behind the Gen Z's said so many things that need to be fixed, including the decision of the cabinet, including ethnicization of employment in this country, including many other issues. And some of them were pushed together. We can push the Adani issue, we can also push the DP issue. So we are not going to stop pushing the impeachment of the deputy on account of Adani. Adani remains there, and the deputy president has to go home on account of the fact that he abused office. So what we are trying to say is this: there's nothing here. We should emotionalize on account of the fear that we are concentrating on the DP against anything else. We as Kenyans are not forgetting all those
So the
issues.
question I want to ask all of you now, what I can hear, apart from Daniel, is the relationship is now not so good between the boss and his deputy.
No. The relation between the deputy president and Kenyans.
Kenyans.
You know, which Kenyans? Yes, I will answer you which Kenyans. I can answer which Kenyans. Kenyans are represented by parliament. If Kenyans are represented by parliament,
so what if?
And the parliament, and parliament has a problem with the
Kenyans. When somebody talks of Kenyans, you do not mean 100%. When we talk of the mountain, there are people who are for the DP as we speak. So when we talk of the mountain against the DP, we are not saying all the people of the mountain.
All right.
What we are trying to say is a percentage of the mountain that is 80-90, which is a higher percentage.
And the MPs are representatives
which you are not
of the
sure
people.
about
That's why they are
the
there.
representation.
We are sure.
Who is not sure?
We are sure.
So
how
can you not be sure about representation?
There's something called the national psyche.
Yes.
There's something called the national psyche.
You can feel where the truth is. If now the more is generating, how much is generated. Let me tell you, Victor, I will keep saying we are representative democracy. The people that we elected to represent the views that I'm hearing on the set are still on indictment, whether they represent us properly or not. Right? You understand? And that is why I said no one can attribute that kind of representation to the current parliament we have. That is still on indictment.
The 300 members of parliament are wrong.
What was the issue around the rejection of finance bill that led to the protest is the nature of representation. You cannot quote it here as a representation, as a legitimate representation, as the current things are.
So I want to follow.
If that is the voice of Kenyans you keep on saying, that I think is very misplaced.
I am telling you, even if today we got the opinion of Kenyans without the MPs, you go around asking about what do you want Gachagua. Mount Kenya do not want Gachagua.
Fine.
They do not want him.
That is your and yes,
allow me to ask
He's impeached to opinion polls. His case is done.
Daniel.
He's impeached or not, there's no way out. They are going to work with the president.
Allow me to ask this question. So we discussed that. So the motion is tabled before the House tomorrow, 2:30 p.m.
Yeah.
It will go through the process, legislative, etc., etc. So what if it doesn't get impeached? Up to this point.
If it doesn't
very
get
quickly
impeached,
because of time.
Trust you me, at the level where the impeachment motion is, as I speak right now, at the level it is as good as not there. It'll be better not in that seat than being there.
No. But
so
what
even
if?
What if Kenyans will still have a problem? Kenyans will still have a problem. He'll still be in an office, but he will not be having any duties. That is what will happen.
Okay.
And because you have been rejected, you know, even in a family setup, you are a rejected wife or husband. You are just there physically. And is that what you want? You lose out on what you want. Because you will be there physically, but mutually you are not there. So what am I trying to say? It is better for him to try and redeem himself. To try and redeem himself in the sense that, can he resign? Because most of the Kenyans are against him. They do not want him, including the people of his backyard. And nothing is about to change that as of now.
Okay.
Now, if he is not...
Let me
put it this way.
So what if he doesn't get impeached?
Let me put it this way. You see, in law, there's something called irredeemable
And then the
damage.
question number two, because of time again, what if the president takes a back seat and says, you know what, gentlemen, this issue, we have to stop it, we have to work for Kenya.
Yes.
I'd love you to call us here after this.
No.
Let me
explain.
Let me explain. There's something called irredeemable damage. You see, I have explained here, and I want to explain again. There's what you call legitimacy and legality. Legally, he can continue to be the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Legitimacy is different. It's where the people then treat you in the context of the power of the seat. The example I gave you last time is, if you are a father of the house and you don't provide, you come home drunk, you beat your wife, you beat your children, you abuse them, you lose legitimacy of the house. When you walk into the compound, people run away because you don't provide and behave like a father. So because he has not behaved like a father of the nation, a deputy father of the nation for that matter, he does not represent the Turkanas, the Samburus, he represents part of Mount Kenya. He has lost legitimacy. We are having this debate because he's legally the deputy president, but he has lost legitimacy to represent some of us and any other tribe in this country.
So what if he doesn't get impeached?
The point is he continues to be legally the deputy president. He loses legitimacy to rule the country as a deputy
What
president.
will be the political ramification if the president...
Means there's nothing he can give. For instance, let me explain to you.
What will be the political ramification, all political terms?
Yes, let me explain.
I would answer that.
Let me explain. In politics, especially at that stage or level he is in, you either offer numbers for elections, numbers or money, or both. He gave money. He didn't give any numbers from
This is
Kenya.
an issue. We can't quantify that, like Wakili.
Let me explain. Let me explain.
He's not the only leader from Kenya.
Can I clarify?
Victor,
Can I clarify,
if
Victor?
he doesn't, if he's not...
As KBC,
he didn't give any numbers. He's not the one.
Okay.
He's not the one who gave President Ruto the numbers.
He's not the one who gave President Ruto the numbers. And is he the only one from the mountain?
Victor,
Professor Kindiki is there.
If he's not impeached tomorrow, something happens, it will never be the same again for Kenyans. The relationship between him and the president will never be the same. The relationship between him and the members of parliament all over the country will never be the same. Then how can he continue there working alone? He'll be a loner. You'll be wasting our taxpayers' money because you'll not be representing us Kenyans.
And I ask a question. So what if the president who stops the impeachment process?
But it will never be the same.
It's even better. It's even better because it becomes a lame deputy president. And therefore it's checked.
And according to me, the president cannot undermine 300 members of parliament who have impended their signatures and then decide, now I'm the boss. They are not robots. No. Those members of parliament are not robots. For them to go there and impend their signatures, for him to be impeached, and it makes sense, and the president was aware of that. So there's no way out he's going to treat
the president can also undermine the Kenyans who are against it.
At least you have attributed.
The only thing he did was to fight alcohol in Mount Kenya. That was not a national thing that he was
What
doing.
will the political
Not the joblessness of the youth.
It's not him, it's the wife.
I'm interested in getting this.
The wife was pushing those things, and when the budget was...
because
you
of time
have confirmed, because this is a national television and a national broadcast.
What will be the political turnaround?
You have confirmed that there are a number of issues that are thrown in this set that cannot be substantiated. I think you've even exonerated, and this is what I was saying. You cannot substantiate the Kenyans you are calling here to be supporting a motion. How do you know that Kenyans are supporting that motion? And unless you have, that's what I'm saying, you have scientifically proven that majority of Kenyans have supported the impeachment. Until now, Victor, you're a media house here. You've not flashed that particular attribution, right? Or any other media stations.
I think you're just ignoring the current affairs.
Some of these things are thrown upside and said, to be, like Wakili said, to weaponize emotions here. No. But they are not true. Secondly, you've asked, what happens? All right?
Yes.
There is nothing that will happen. Kenyans would still question, you know, what is the performance of the government we have in accordance to the issues that were previously raised. And that was saying, from my view as a Kenyans, this is a distraction. It's not even something that we should be giving a priority to. While I say it is important to continue asking for a debate as to the position of the deputy president, not only him, to the positions of a number of elected officials that we have in this country. You know, and as a Kenyan, I'm interested to know. I was talking and I was just listening when you were talking kindly. So one of the things that I'm saying is it is quite important to interrogate from the top to the down. And you've asked, what happens if the president, and one of us have said here, that he cannot bypass the decision of over 300 members of parliament. Back to what I have said. It is the same over 300 members of parliament that passed the finance bill that Kenyans did not accept. They are still the same ones. Who tells you they're exonerating themselves now because they want to bypass? I have my problem. It's the same parliament that we have.
Okay, he said it's content. He said it's
the same one that we have. So it doesn't. Kenyans will move on.
Let me come in just for a minute.
He's saying it's okay to have a dysfunctional deputy governor.
Let me explain for a minute.
Even a dysfunctional parliament, a lot of institutions.
It's very easy.
Okay.
Let me explain for
We're all out of order.
Yeah.
Out of order.
We're not going to work with that dysfunctional
number one is that to say Kenyans, why the question as to whether Kenyans have spoken as to their relationship with the deputy president they have. Representative democracy is such that members of parliament, more than 300, have said as much, that there's an intention to impeach him and have leveled charges against him. The truth, therefore, is that it is leaning, it's the voice of Kenyans to the representation, as it is. Number two, law is a science. The fact that there was an issue with Parliament passing the finance bill or not, and that there was a problem with Kenyans, does not make it constant that anything further they do becomes vulgarized on account of the fact that they passed the finance bill. So the conduct of passing the finance bill was against Kenyans, and it got emotional, and it went where we know it went. The next day they pass a bill to, you know, to fund higher education in this country. Does not make it wrong. So anything that they do further, you do not continue to accuse them on the past. That's why I'm saying law is a science. If you commit a wrong now,
that's a
precedence now. And if you do something else, it must be judged in the context. The judgment in the context is not the finance bill. It is, did the deputy president commit the offences? And we therefore hire us to go through the charges.
It shouldn't be
allow me to. It is a precedence, Victor. Sorry, it is a precedence that we set in this republic that makes us either trust you or not. So when we are beginning to question the performance, the persona, and the office of the deputy president, I said that debate should be devolved to other agencies as well. There is no one that we are exonerating from this road we are having.
In SHA. Can we go and register in SHA if you're not registered?
It was a question.
You still want deputy president is not a governor, it's not an MCA to be to be devolved. It's a national issue.
Yes. I've just said the discussion to be devolved.
I wish he was even addressing joblessness in the mountain, because he's talking of alcohol and he's not asking why are the youth taking alcohol, because
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we
have to do it twice.
Hapa nyuma mkae na huyu mama. Umesema nini? Nimekuchagia mtori ama umesema ina nyama.
Unanipurutia nini?
Hebu ongea bila kulea.
Mheshimiwa, angalia tena nimesahau mahali nafaa kwenda. Madhalao ni wewe kuniangalia mimi. Msitana mndongo.
Wewe hata ni ile maitwa generation boom.
Mandasi inatoka England, Crystal Palace inakuja kama inawaka mosi na bobu nitume bobu.
Mama tutakula tano. Sasa niruhusu nipigie nduru hapa.
Enda ukipiga nduru hivi.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migu. And after that spirited conversation revolving around politics with Victor Olo and his guest, now we shift gears and talk about children literature, which is a very important aspect because let me quote somebody. His name is William Nicholson. He said, "We read to know we are not alone." And with children literature, children read to know they are not alone. And it is one of the things that help them process emotions. And to help me in this conversation in studio, I'm joined by Muthoni Thangwa, who is an anthropologist and also a children's book author. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Mike.
How
I'm
are
happy
you?
to be here.
Karibu sana to Good Morning Kenya.
Asante sana.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Now, you're an anthropologist.
Yes.
Why children literature?
Because anthropology talks about the human condition, everything human, anthropologists are interested in.
Yes.
And what would be more interesting to a human being than our children and their future and their learning and their discovery of the world that we have created, both natural and cultural.
Yes.
Yes, so I thought that I can bring some of this information to children in very simplified way in which they can understand.
It's good that you've said in a very simplified way, which is supposed to be the case. Now, talk about how children's literature help them, especially in the development of their intellectual capacity and also language development.
It's where learning literature is very critical for children in learning. And one of the things that we have previously done is to teach children in methodologies that are difficult for them to understand. Because when you tell a child A is for apple or S is for snow, these are foreign concepts to a child, to a Kenyan child. How many rural Kenyan children eat apples? If you tell a child A is for ant, they immediately begin to identify with the letter A because they've all seen an ant. They all know what an ant is. They all have ant, a name for ant in their own language. Do we have a name for an apple in our languages? We don't. So this is demystifying learning and making it so simple that a child jumps into the learning process, absorbs literature effortlessly without thinking, oh, this is a difficult thing. This is something that the teacher will say or the headmaster will say. No, learning is lifelong, Mike. It's continuous. And it has to be made as simple and as beautiful as possible, especially for our children. Yes.
And with simplified language, children can relate to what is happening in literature. Let's say, for instance, there's a story that is being told, and each story comes with a moral lesson. Why is that important?
It's critical for learning. As I have said, children, and you've touched on a very important thing, that literature is not about the written word. Literature, we have oral literature. So we have our stories, and our stories are meant to teach us. And it's not just the stories, even the sayings that we have in our cultures, in our languages. So if a child does something wrong and the parents tells them, asiyesikia la mkuu, already the child is in literature, oral literature, they are learning. So when you make these things so simple, and they are teaching life lessons, they are building up on the growth and development of a child. A child begins to understand the pros of doing these and the cons. And the end, the moral of the stories having morals or sayings having morals is so important, because it is from this that a child starts to philosophize, to agree, to take sides, to be a rightist, a leftist, or, you know, to be a Democrat, to be, you know, conservative, because of the lessons that they have had. So they start to ask, does this lesson work for me? If it doesn't work for them, then they take the next lesson. So literature is very, very important in that formation. Yes.
You've touched on something about oral literature. And one of the things that comes to the fore is the ability to speak confidently. Talk about the role it plays now, the oral literature, in enhancing a child's public speaking skills and confidence in addressing, let's say, people.
Mike, what everybody now agrees, psychologists, even UNESCO, is the importance of a child to be able to express themselves first in their own language. And you see, our own languages carry a lot of what you call weightless goods, very important things that cannot be measured or cannot be held. So it's in those sayings, it's in those lessons. The minute a child understands and synthesizes that, they're able, you cannot speak about what you don't understand. So the minute a child starts to understand that from all literature, they get the confidence to speak about it. If you're not sure about something, you cannot speak about it. So a child needs to be sure. This is what it is. It is a mango. It is a banana. It is the naughty hair. The minute they're sure about that, they can express themselves. And of course, expressing themselves helps your language to grow, helps you to synthesize and grow new ideas and to absorb additional ideas. So literature is very, very important in the development of a child.
Yes. There's also the aspect of emotion. Of course, there's fear, sadness, joy. How does children's literature now help them, or how is it synthesized to come down into a situation where it's easy for children to resonate with it and make it easy for them to express themselves in a manner that they can talk freely about what they are feeling, whether they are feeling sad, whether they are feeling joy, because storybooks come in different forms and emotions have to be addressed within that context. How is that achieved?
That, Mike, is achieved by what we call genre of literature. And this means that each story, you can be telling a true story, you can be telling a fictitious story, you can be telling a sad story, you can be telling a funny story. So when it is in the written form, one of the ways to draw into the emotion is to have children using literature outside of the school environment, because the school environment by its nature is structured in a certain way.
Yes.
And there's only, I think, 40 minutes in a lesson or less than an hour. There's not much you can do that. But at home, when you use literature on children to help them learn, if you're cooking, you can break into a song. You can break into a song. If you're cooking and the child starts to feel the emotions that are in the song, you can start to weep or pretend to weep, which a teacher may not be able to do. So you say, oh, and the lion was sad, and you start to get sad. And a child gets very involved and they start to learn. What is sad? What is happy? Why would I be sad? Why would I be happy? The other thing that you can do, especially when it's printed, is illustrations. Because illustrations, you know what they say about a picture? It tells a story in itself.
Yes.
So just looking at an animal or a drawing of a person, a child can tell the emotion therein. And you can find that children can really be captivated by literature. You can find a child has a favorite page. The page may be with a rabbit or a baby. And every time they take the book, they immediately go to that page and they look at it. And if you ask them, you will be surprised by the myriad of things and emotions that they're feeling about that particular page. And they should have an opportunity to be asked about this, not in a formal environment. Yes.
You know, literature outside the school setting is also an important aspect, especially when you're dealing with kids. And that brings about the question of where parents do not leave this aspect of teaching literature to kids, to teachers. There's also the aspect where the parents should take the responsibility of, say, reading a storybook to a child. Why is that important, that it should not be something that is left alone to teachers only?
Mike, you've touched on very interesting elements. A rural child in Kenya today is still very much exposed to literature. It may not be written as in books, but they are exposed to literature because the grandparents, the neighbors, the community, the child is living in a community that allows them to be exposed to this literature. In urban environments, unfortunately, the idea of community is more fragmented than in the rural areas. So parents, family members, grandparents, aunties, cousins have to take the responsibility of being part of the community of literature for children. Otherwise, what is happening now is that a lot of our children, especially in urban areas, are left to the lyrics of songs because that can't be prevented. They hear them on the way to school, they hear them in buses, they hear them in matatus. So the lyrics are becoming a very powerful tool in terms of literature for children. But the danger here is that you cannot control the message or the ideology that is being passed on by the song. And also, parents need to be involved so that you control the narrative of what the child learns. Because contemporary music can have all sorts of lessons that may not be so easy for a young child to synthesize. So you can choose what the child hears, what the child learns, so that they get ideas and concepts that they can synthesize, because those are very important for their growth and for understanding current issues. Yes.
What are the characteristics, or the necessary characteristics of children literature?
Children's literature, first of all, should be engaging. And it must appeal to all the senses. If you can put illustrations with beautiful colors, children are attracted to colors. If you can put different emotions, some stories will have adventure, some will have fatigue, some will show just the way the day drags on, because that's reality and that's a lesson that a child needs to learn. So the tempo of a story has to be such that a child is learning different things as the story goes on.
Yes.
Yes.
And also, where does cultural diversity now, what role does it play in all this? Because yes, we are teaching literature to kids, but where is culture coming along in this?
You know, Mike, that's a very important question, because cultural diversity has been recognized as one of the key elements, not just for the growth and understanding of a child, but also their linguistic ability to be able to express ideas that are foreign to them. They must first learn their own ideas. Also, it is very, very important for children to learn within their cultural context. It's so important for understanding, cohesion, and intersocietal integration. Because the sayings that I have in the literature of my own community may agree with the ones in your community. So already the minute we use those, we are in agreement. If we are not in agreement, it creates an opportunity, an unconflict situation to ask you, oh, and why do you say that in your culture? While in my culture, we say this. So already we are having a very peaceful dialogue that creates a basis for understanding, which is not confrontational.
Yes.
So it's in the mode of learning something new, hearing something new that is different from mine. It is very, very critical, Mike.
In the space of, in the aspect of imagination and creativity, you know, children with very young age, they can be very creative. But now, how does this literature help in bringing out those two aspects, imagination and creativity?
Literature is the fantastic place where a child can grow their creativity and imagination, because children are very curious. When they read a book, or when you read to them a book, or when you tell them a story, it is very rare that a child will not have questions. In fact, they may interrupt you, and you must allow it. Why did the hare jump? Say, because the hare is cheeky, they like to jump. And then at the end they will ask, what happened? They want to know beyond what you have told them. And when you tell them that these are imaginary stories, then they realize that their imagination is fertile and it is good for their growth and for their own creativity. Stories also encourage children to start not really daydreaming, but think of the impossible. and to create possibilities that they don't see in their own environment. So when you tell a child that a story is fiction, whereas maybe they have heard about America and they're thinking, oh, yeah, I don't know, I've never left my village. But when you ignite their imagination, they start to see possibility. They're like, oh, even that America is real, that ocean is real, that Himalayas is real. And the imagination is ignited. And they start to understand that what I may have is very beautiful, but it's not all that there is. There's much more out there.
What about the aspect of critical thinking?
Critical thinking is also ignited in the sense that a child starts to understand life is not just what you see, what you hear, and what you learn. And that before what we see was the way it was, it might have been something else. So they start to understand that before a chair was a chair, it was a tree. Because if you show a kid a wooden chair, can you imagine, they wouldn't connect it with a tree. But now you start to make them think critically that this was once a tree, maybe from a story. You've told the story of how the tree was locked down and it turned into a chair. And the child thinks, oh, wow, really? So it makes them, it helps to develop not only their logic, but also to grow their thinking capacity. Yes.
Now that you've been involved in writing children literature, how has the evolution been? How can you say this aspect has evolved with time?
I must say that we have taken quite a bit of time to move from oral traditions, which are very, very powerful. But the limitation with oral tradition is that I must be there to pass them on. A human being has to be there. Whereas a book, you can leave a book here and a child will come and read it. So it has taken a bit of time. And also in Kenya, we have concentrated way too much, in my opinion, on literature for education, as opposed to literature for lifelong learning, where a child learns because that's what is going to happen throughout your life. You're going to learn new things. So we base it on the curriculum, and that is limiting in itself. Education is very important, the formal education, but learning has to be in and out of school. So I think there's room, there's really a lot of space. We've had a lot of improvements. We have a lot of children's authors. Many are known, but there's still room for growth. Yes.
What about enhancing interpersonal skills for kids? Because let's say, for instance, there's a book reading session or a storytelling session, which I do not know if it's still there for kids. How does that enhance interpersonal skills, especially for kids?
Again, Mike, I go back to our traditional cultures. We had our moms tell us stories. We had our grandparents tell us stories. That environment doesn't exist anymore. Now we have authors telling stories. So almost every author who's produced a children's book usually have a storytelling session where the children come and you sell them the idea of your book. You sell them the concept of your book. You tell them the story. You engage them. And it's one of the most fascinating things that can happen to children and that can happen to a children's book. We Kenyan authors regularly have story reading sessions with children. We just had one at the National Theatre with the Makondo Festival, and it was really, really, really enlivening.
Yes.
Yes, children really love it.
Yes.
Yes.
You've authored a book here called ABC on Safari.
Yes.
This one. And it has lots of illustrations inside.
Yes.
So what inspired that, and how do illustrations help, especially when it comes to the comprehension aspect for kids?
Illustrations are very important. One, as I said, in igniting the imagination and also creating a reality for children. So in the book, I have used animals to tell children about A to Z, but I'm very conscious that not every Kenyan child has seen an elephant. Not every Kenyan child has seen a tiger. So illustrations help children to envision what that may be, even when they have not seen it. But the biggest advantage that I've put in the book is that these are things that are within the reach of a child. So a child knows if they go to the national park, they will be able to see a lion. It also creates anticipation. It markets our own country to ourselves, and it also creates an interest in our natural heritage, which is very, very rich, as you know, and we've marketed it internationally.
Yes. You know, World Health Organization has said that, or says literacy should combine or incorporate this, the aspect of health teaching in the classroom. How can that be incorporated now in small kids' literature and help them in managing their emotions, one, and also as a tool to promote health, health, especially when it comes to mental health for kids in school?
So mental health, of course, is going to be expressed and explored in the variety of emotions that we discussed: excitement, sadness, joy, stress. So all this should be in stories, so that children learn that this is the normal way of living. Other stories can be written specifically to have a health related moral. For example, if you're writing literature about home and cooking, you can incorporate issues like washing the hands, hygiene, and all those can be in the story, so that a child is not being told, wash your hands every day. It's tiring, it's boring. But if you say, when you want to cook really good matoke, you must first wash your hands so that there are no germs in the food, that's interesting for a child. They're like, oh, is that so? So good food needs to be hygienically prepared. So we can intertwine all these themes in children's literature, again, to make lifelong learning fun. Because learning should not be tedious. Yes.
Your parting shot?
My parting shot is, let's engage our children. Let's involve our children in literature, both oral and written, and let parents not leave this role to schools only. We have a big possibility to engage our children in lifelong learning through literature.
That was our time. And thank you.
All right.
Yeah, thank you for making time to come on Good Morning Kenya.
Asante sana.
Talking about children literature.
Asante.
That is Muthoni Thangwa, who is an anthropologist and a children's book author, speaking to us about children literature. This is where we cap this conversation. Don't go too far. Good Morning Kenya continues shortly with Vivian Ndegwa.
Mike Megwe, thank you. Back there in Broadcasting House, I want you to take a moment and imagine these. You have cable cars swinging by above you. You have a Jurassic kind of a park, water parks. Wait a minute, wake up. You're not in Shanghai or New York. You're talking about Butere sub-county here in Kakamega County. That is what is expected to happen here once the Mwale Medical and Technology City is completed. What you can see behind me here is the Hamptons Hospital. Currently, you have about 400 bed capacity. You're looking at 5,000 capacities by the time this is done. In Northeast is courtesy of one man, Julius Mwale. I'm sure you've heard about him. You have watched him on TV. And this morning we have him on the set. He's going to explain to us why the choice of Butere. I mean, this man, he has visited many parts of the world. I mean, he lives in New York. And so why did he choose the sleepy village of Butere? I mean, with about 35,000 people. He's going to explain to us what transpired and what brought about this kind of a dream. Thank you very much indeed, Julius, for joining us this morning on Good Morning Kenya. First of all, help us understand what kind of a vision is this? I mean, how did you end up here?
Yes. So this vision, thank you so much, Brian, and thank you very much, everyone that is watching. Yeah, my name again is Julius Mwale. I'm the founder and the main principal for Mwale Medical and Technology City, here located in Butere, sub-county of Kakamega County. And we started this idea with a vision to transform this community. So we wanted to be able to bring amenities and infrastructure to the community so that the locals here get to experience those amenities without being ejected from their land. Being able to stay here and enjoy that. And our vision was transforming this to villages around Kenya and, of course, all over the continent and all over the world. Yes.
So, you see, for any investor who is banking on ROI or return on investment, you would want to invest in a place whereby you have high volume and high net worth individuals. That cannot be said of Butere village, because this is actually a village. You want to turn it into a city. Why did you settle on Butere village?
So right now you've gone around. It's already a city. It's been turned into a city, and a city is about the people. The people you have in the area, and this is a medical city. A medical city treats people. There's no high net worth, there's no low net worth when it comes to health. So health, is for the people. And this area of the Lake Region Economic Bloc in Kenya has 14 counties and has the land the size of Nairobi Metro region, but has 16 million people. Nairobi Metro, with 4 counties of Kajiado, Machakos, Kiambu, and Nairobi, has 8 million. But they have the same land like this area, which has 14 counties with 16 million people. So this is the ideal area to create a medical city, because if you want to do impact, on the population, you have to go where people are. And Nairobi region has fewer people than this Lake Region Economic Bloc, and that's why we chose this area after feasibility study.
But the beauty about the larger Nairobi metropolitan is the fact that you're not starting from the scratch. You have proper infrastructure there. You have sewer line. You have security. You have a ready market for things. Here you have to start from scratch. You managed to put up the roads. I can see them in the background. You managed to put up the lights. And so you're starting from nowhere, and so it becomes very expensive even for an investor. That never scared you.
No. So if you look at Nairobi, for example, that you mentioned, Nairobi is maintaining what already is existing in the area. There's not an impact. If you have a vision to do significant impact to the population, big impact, you have to go where the population is. And as you've said, we came in this area. We got 5,000 acres of land, in the community, together with the community, and we were able to do 150 kilometers of roads. We put 3,000 solar streetlights in the community. We've built a hospital here that treats people now that come in for treatment with NHIF and other insurance companies with medical tourists. So we're able to attract the 16 million people in the region and the people within the larger East Africa to come in for treatment. So it's a big investment, but a smarter one, because the return on investment, it's much better here than it is in a place like Nairobi.
The last and the first time I saw you, was back in 2008.
Yes.
At that point, you were in the tech world.
Yes.
When did you change your focus to become a real estate kind of an investor?
Yes. No, I haven't. I'm not a real estate investor. And so my background, I'm someone I trained in telecommunication engineering. So I started a tech company called SBA Technologies. And that company was based on biometrics, and I was able to change, put an impact into how people protect online, businesses and online, transactions in the world. I made money, and I brought that money to my vision. So this is what I want to leave for legacy, transforming the lives of people. My wealth is determined by how many people I get out of poverty. That's my vision. That's my wealth. Like what's my net worth? It's how many people I'm able to transform from poverty. In this location, this part of Africa, this part of Kenya, where it has 1/3 of the population of the country, it's been neglected by investors. I was born here, I'm from here, and this is the only area that if you want to do impact with significant returns, it's an area that you have to consider for investment.
Are you still in the business of SBA Technologies?
I'm a big investor. So I've invested into all areas of investment. I invest into technology, I invest into real estate, I invest into cities. This is not real estate. This is building medical cities and technology cities, transforming communities. If you look at this, it's a village turned into a city, and we've achieved the vision. We've already transformed this. We began here in 2014, and as you can see, we've spent billions and billions of shillings to transform the communities. And of course, we have a power plant here. It's a 10 megawatt power plant, solar power plant. We have the hospital. It is all operational here. I'm looking at the supermarket, the mall, which has been here for 7 years, operational, and it's very sustainable in this community because, we found a need and we filled that need, and that's why this is sustainable, putting an impact, to satisfy our vision.
What model are you working with here? I mean, I see a lot of, the people who come up with this kind of a concept, they prefer the build, own and then transfer model. But it seems like you're inclined to the build, own and operate model.
So yes, it's a community sustainable. So this is an integrated master economic plan. That's this model, an integrated master economic plan. So what that means is that we are coming in to integrate the community into this plan. For example, this entire area of about two county awards, for Kakamega, half of those county wards has 25,000 acres. And those are people being affected in this area. But we only have 5,000 acres. So we integrated the community. The 20,000 acres is community, 5,000 acres is us. Community is 80%, we are 20%. And that's the integrated, master development model that now can work in the billion people in Africa that live in rural areas.
When you look at the kind of investment that you have made here, I mean, it runs into billions of shillings. Is this from own revenue?
Yes.
Own source revenue? Or you have partnered with other people behind the scenes who have invested here?
So we started with a feasibility study. As I said, I was a tech, pioneer. So I invested into a technology. I made money from technology. The initial investment was my own, personal investments into the city. And then, of course, I was joined by other investors that now came in later to be able to get it to the level where it is now, and then continuing to expand it in 12 countries in the continent of Africa. And by the way, as we speak, we are launching this week in South America, in the countries of Guyana and Suriname.
So in terms of investment, so you're talking about a hybrid model whereby there is your percentage, then you have external other investors who have put up this. What would you classify as your investment in this?
So the investment, for example, we have the mall here, we have the supermarket, that's fully our investment. The hospital, that's fully our investment. The power plant, that's fully our investment. But other investors now are coming in. For example, we have a company called Inua AI, which is a Kenyan company that is setting up here in our tech park here to do 100 computers that will do a BPO to be able to train the youth, within this area. So we have other manufacturing companies that have moved in. For example, we have the largest, company in construction, in Vietnam. It's called Wabin Air Group. So it's come in, to be able to invest in building 2,000 medical student unit apartments. They're doing that. So those are the kind of investments we have here. So the core businesses of the city, the hospital, the shopping, the dining, the power plant, the golf, those are investments, and the roads and all the lights. But now the other supporting, businesses that come up to rely on that for other investors that are coming in to do.
When you go to the website of Mwale Medical and Technology City, you talk about the Hamptons Hospital. With a bed capacity of 5,000 people. What you have now here is about 400, which is about 8.5%. When do you plan to complete? The rest 89 point something percent.
No, the model for the city, the patient capacity for the hospital is 5,000, patients, to be treated in the hospital. Most of those patients are treated onto telehealth, telemedicine. So that's the model we have. So in Western Kenya or in this part of the world, you have schools. And so we have, a model where we put a kiosk for nurses. This is called a telehealth kiosk. It's put into the school. And then instead of sending people to come into the building, people go into that kiosk. And then they get our nurse there, they get treated there. And if they need further treatment like surgeries, they're brought into the hospital. So we're looking at the 5,000 patient capacity, to be able to run the hospital. So it's a hybrid model of, the bed and hospital. So the rest of what you're talking about, it's for the medical school. It's not our investment. That's the investment of the medical school, and it's called the Great Lakes University of Kisumu. So that one is launching here in the next quarter, and, they're going to be able to have over 2,000, students beds, and they're going to basically increase the bed capacity to 5,000 when they get started to operate. Yes.
When do you expect that to happen?
Yeah, they are starting the next quarter, and the implementation will take 18 months for them to be able to run the medical school, have the 2,000 units for medical students already built and completed, and the medical school running full-time, and at that time will be a 5,000 full bed capacity for the entire hospital.
For the entire hospital?
Yes.
I mean, you also talk about, having a patient foot traffic of about 20,000 people?
No. Per day we're talking of 5,000. Yeah, when it's full capacity. Yeah, but right now we are doing thousands of patients, a month. We are doing at least 6,000, patients coming in for treatment. Yes, we're way above our normal target for treatment, because you look at return on investment. How are we doing that? We get enough money and we invest in the system. We are able to take care of our employees, suppliers, and, every other person that is in the community, and keep expanding, the hospital.
Is the government involved in this project?
Not directly, because the government is a client through National Hospital Insurance Fund, which is going to be SHIF. So the SHIF clients, which are the government clients, which are the majority of the people that live in the area, when they come in the hospital, they are treated without paying copay. So if you live in the area, or you are Kenyan, and you want to come in for treatment in the hospital, if you have NHIF, which is transitioning to SHIF, you'll be treated without paying copayment, in Hampton's hospital. So when you come there, you show your card. If you've paid your premium, we'll be able to treat you without paying any co-payments.
Before I let you go, I just want to understand things. I mean, if you remove Julius Mwale from the equation,
exactly,
what will become of Mwale Medical and Technology City?
Yeah, you remove Julius Mwale of the equation. Julius Mwale is a face, for the vision of the people. Because as we said, 80% of the entire land of this city, it's owned by the community. So you remove Julius Mwale or you keep him there, community is the face of the entire, project. Yeah.
What do we expect to see in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, we expect to see the expansion of this project in Africa. Today, we already have a presence in Central Africa, Southern Africa, West Africa, and this week, we are launching in South America. So within the next 5 years, we are looking at this project, becoming, the epicenter of the economic development and transformation for 1 billion people that live in rural areas in Africa.
In Africa?
Yes.
What else do we need to know before I let you go?
Yes, so what I wanted to talk about is that we have a program that has expanded to help poor families pay for healthcare premiums. And we started, doing marathons with Athletic Kenya. So we did one inaugural in December, we did a health walk in April, and we did a cross-country in August. And what we do is that when the sponsors sponsor these races that we've run here, we use that money to pay for healthcare premiums for poor families. And when they have those premiums with NHIF, they can now come here and get free treatment.
Julius Mwale, thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning, and of course for sharing with us your insights.
Thank you so much.
Your time is highly appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Very good indeed.
Thank you.
I mean, well, that's the story of Mwale Medical Technology City here in Butere County. I mean, in Butere sub-county of Kakamega County. We'll continue to explore more and, of course, give you more. I mean, we have barely scratched the surface. There's more that we're going to discuss here with the founder and the CEO of Mwale Medical and Technology City. My name is O'Brien Kimani. Back to you in Broadcasting House, Vivian Degwa.
Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula Sunday.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
I am in love.
What?
With your suti.
Oh.
My name is Posire Marupe and I was told to come to this class.
No one. You know some of us pay our own school fees. We do not have the so-called daddies to pay for us. Can you imagine me and Will Smith are literally buddies? Sorry, Jada.
How would you like if I pay your fee alias?
That is not enough even for dowry.
You concentrate. Who is paying your dowry?
All right, from that live interview from Butere by O'Brien Kimani, we now get into our next segment of the day right here on Good Morning Kenya. In case you're just joining in, my name is Vivian Degwa, and today we'll be talking about nurturing talents. And with me are two very beautiful ladies. I will start with the one on my immediate right, and that is Ande Monet, and she is the founder, Ande Monet LLC. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited.
All right, and on my far right is Isabel Donadio, and Isabel is the founder, Top Talent Agency, and she is also an author of numerous books. Welcome to the show.
Asante sana.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So if you can just mention to us why you're here, why you're here today.
So my company, Top Talent Agency, is doing the Kenya Keynote Tour, where we are starting in Nairobi, going to Kisii, Kisumu, and ending in the Masai Mara, where we're speaking to universities, students, sharing with them the different insights and expertise of successful business owners from America to help them advance in whatever it is that they want to become, what kind of jobs that they even want to create, and even doing service projects. We've done things like putting in water tanks, infiltration systems, painting black walls, and doing sponsorships for individual students with their school fees.
How long are you going to be around, maybe Andy?
We'll all be here for the entire week, talking to a lot of schools every single day for this whole week coming.
When we're talking about nurturing talents, maybe what are the most effective strategies that you'd say you've seen work when it comes to nurturing talents?
When it comes to nurturing talents, the base understanding is what is it that the student is trying to achieve? What are their goals after college? And sometimes we don't even get to really have that full conversation. But even, we'll do like group pollings. We'll ask the group, what do you want to go into this? Do you want to go into that? Okay, well, what are skill sets you're already doing now? Are you in sports? Are you in clubs? Are you already having in-depth conversations that are meant to impact the school that can be transitioned into the jobs that you want to go into? So those are some of the things that we kind of point out, that talents that they already have, they just need to be worked on.
Who do you mainly work with?
I work with a lot of different industries, different sized businesses. I have a nonprofit also called Youth Success Organization, all for the purpose of really expanding children's possibilities, because they don't know what they don't know at that time, and if there's some at-home or cultural things that prevent them from being the best version of themselves or succeeding in life, I bring those opportunities to them in their households as well.
I get that. Now, how do you identify individuals with a potential to grow?
Honestly, it's the ones that are the most outspoken. Sometimes we'll even do exercises where we'll ask the audience, who wants to volunteer to do something? And sometimes it's the action takers. A lot of times when it comes to having a goal in life, it's often a dream. You wish really hard to make it come to fruition. But really what we love to see are action takers. People who don't even know what they're volunteering for. They don't know what the outcome is going to be. But we make it fun for everyone involved. But it's the people who take action that we reward, so they can see that when they go for it, when they don't hold back, whether it's the voices in their head, it's someone that's in their corner that's not really encouraging them to the fullest, when they defeat all that and take action, that's what we really love to see.
And still maybe to you, Isabel, what goes into nurturing talents? What exactly goes into nurturing talents, and what do you love most about doing what you do?
Honestly, I love to see that deep connection that some of the students will have with the speakers. All of them have different businesses, they focus on different industries, and so when a student is able to really connect with someone and they can see the kind of potential that can come out of it, that is a relationship that I really love to see, continue on even after the tour, because even though we're here for a week and our tour ends on 7 October, the work doesn't end for us. We stay in touch, we follow up, we make sure that the ones that we've committed to sponsorships, that their school fees are taken care of, so that way they can continue on their education, because what we want to see are more youth individuals that are impacting the world.
Mentorship is such a huge thing, and it's big on every aspect, in whichever way we want to look at it. So maybe what exactly is the main role of mentorship when it comes to the nurturing of an individual?
For me, the biggest thing is meeting them where they are, not forcing them to be something they're not, and knowing where they can excel. And sometimes it's really they don't believe in themselves, but they have to if they believe in somebody who believes in them, that's all that they need. That's like the first step with a lot of children, especially.
Maybe your take on the role of mentorship.
The role of mentorship is teaching the youth what you've failed at and how they can avoid those pitfalls. It's like, yes, I've done all these things, I've written many books, I get to travel internationally, but I've had people who have been mad at me. I've been people who didn't want to work with me anymore. I have had situations where, I put a lot of time and effort into a project and it just didn't work out. And because I was able to identify those things, I can share that with my mentee. I can share that with someone who, wants to kind of follow in my footsteps, so they can avoid those things and they can have a stronger trajectory to success.
What does it take for one to be a mentor? Doing what you do, you're a mentor to most of these children. When they look at you, they see a mentor in you. So what does it take to be a mentor?
It sounds really silly, but for me, it's just being there for them. It's not about me anymore, right? It's about what I can give and how I can provide, and the possibilities I can provide, and the opportunities I can provide, and the vision and the mindset that you give to children, that they know that they have something more. And if I can do that, that's half the battle. And the details sort of fall into place after that, what they want to do, how they want to do it. Everything for me has always been, how can I make the biggest difference that I can? I mean, ever since I could remember. And that comes in even as simple as giving somebody a genuine smile in the street is the way that I can give some love and support to people. But when we really are able to mentor children to be able to realize that there's so much more that they can do in their life, knowing that it's possible.
What's the importance of that nurturing of talents, and specifically from the young age, because you're working with young individuals, people who are in school still. So what's the importance of nurturing it from the get-go?
It's hard to fill a cup that's already so full. So when you start working with them at, when they're in school and they're developing their self-esteem, they're developing their passions, you can kind of pour more good into them, pour more good advice into them. One that I really love to share is be comfortable with no. Yes, tell me I can't do it. I'm going to overcome it. Tell me that's not possible. I'll make it possible. When you pour those good affirmations into them, whatever it is that they want to set their mind to, whether they want to go into a job or they want to create a business, they're going to be comfortable with that no, because they don't see it as a stopping point. They see it as an obstacle that they can overcome.
While you're doing the mentorship that you do, maybe what are some of the challenges that you'd say you encounter on the way while nurturing?
I think the biggest challenge is self-esteem. A lot of children think that they can't, even though we're telling them that they can if they want. Like, we're not trying to tell them what to do, we're just trying to give them a way to realize that they can do it. And so there's self-esteem, confidence. Those are the biggest challenges because they may not get support in their normal communities or home or school or culture or whatever the case might be. And it's not that they don't necessarily get support, it's that they don't actually hear the support. I mean, and hear the words that they can do it and hear the possibilities that they have available to them. So that's always the biggest concern because it's not something that's natural. We don't, adult or child, it's not something that we naturally have. We grow into it and we learn that we can do it.
Yeah, that's very important to know. Because most times we have that, sometimes we call it imposter syndrome, where you feel like, I don't really think I belong.
Absolutely.
Would you say those are some of the same challenges that you've gotten to encounter, while on this job?
Absolutely. Self-esteem and mindset can be difficult obstacles for people to overcome at any age. Some people that are in their 50s be like, oh, well, I'm in my 50s. I can't start a business anymore. It's too late for me. Oh, well, I'm in my 20s and my first business idea failed. I guess I'm just a failure and that's just the life I have to accept. No. You have to be willing to accept that not everything is going to work out. It's not going to be like in the movies where at the very end there's going to be that big hurrah, hurrah. It's going to suck sometimes. And you have to be comfortable with that. And when you understand that that's just going to come with whatever it is you want to go into, nothing will stop you from there. Absolutely nothing. Kenya ni nyumba yangu ya pili. This place is like a second home to me. And I want to make sure that the conversations that we're having with the youth are going to leave a lasting impact because, there is so much potential here, and not just Kenya, but Africa. There's so much that can be done here. But the biggest obstacle that, again, can be found anywhere all over the world is just that mindset and self-esteem.
What mainly are you looking to instill in these young ones as you move around speaking to them?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me, where I come from, is that anything is possible. Whether it's wanting to own a business, whether it's wanting to be a manager, whether it's, our family has never gone to college, maybe that's now an opportunity. Just being able to see beyond what they see in their everyday life and know that, and they might not even know what they want to do yet, but just knowing that there's something else that they could do if they decide what that is, and then knowing how to do that. Just the mindset to know that there's possibilities beyond what you can see, but in your heart you know that there's someplace else or something greater in yourself that they know that they can accomplish.
What mainly are you nurturing them on? Is it the business side of it? Is it the talent side of it? Or is it all together?
It's all together because where their natural talents lie can help them, be a good launching point into whatever it is that they want to do. If they're great in communications, then they might have a business starting in that. If they are really great with people and individuals and kind of like customer service, then they can go into a business like that. But it's just really identifying what it is that they can naturally fall into, that they already naturally love, and encourage that pattern. Encourage them to follow that road, because as soon as you find, one branch, it can split off into so many things. You just have to start at the root of the tree and find out what it is that they are already caring about.
So the keynote tour, you've just started, it's starting today actually.
Yes.
From today to the 7th of October. This is not the first time you're here.
No,
this is not the first time you're here. So how many times have you been coming, and is this something that you keep on doing? Is it yearly? Is it
so this is our 5th Kenya keynote tour. The last 3. Including this one, this is in the last 2 years that we've done the Kenya Keynote Tour. But it's something that we try to do every year. We try to bring in different faces, different business owners. Right now with us on this tour is a whole new group. And so we're really excited to see how, they even walk away with something. Not just connections, not just mentees, but, of the soul. And as much as we love to say that we are trying to change and make an impact here in Kenya, honestly, at the end of the day, we're changed so much more with your smiles and your warm welcome and the way that you are just so able to easily have a conversation with us and being willing to, spend the time and just understand where we're coming from so we can help, more people. It truly is a wonderful experience, and I'm always happy to keep coming back here.
Maybe one would be maybe asking why Kenya?
That's a good question. I don't have an answer because they said Kenya, and I was like, yay! Because I love Kenya. But
I don't think just why Kenya, but I think the better question is why do we keep coming back? And the answer to that is we just love the individuals that we've already built relationships with, not only with the students, but with the schools, the administration, because they're really seeing what it is of an impact that we're making with our students. And they want to keep that coming back every single year because we may be talking to the seniors, but then they graduate. So they want us to talk to the juniors that are the next up in line as seniors, because they're seeing all the insight, all the advice, all the resources that we're providing is really making an impact. So that's the biggest question of why we keep coming back, not just why Kenya.
Yeah. All right. Do you have any success stories maybe from the previous visits that you would love to share with us?
We have had some international programs. We've had some students that have actually gotten jobs as virtual assistants. So while we're back in America, what we do is that we'll kind of delegate to tasks that can be done online. So if it's creating images, creating videos, we have had past business owners that have come on the Kenya Keynote Tour hire the newly graduated students to have those online positions. So that way, not only are they getting real experience with working with an American client, because that is what they're doing, but they're also getting income from that exchange as well. So that we're not only just hiring them, but they are actually getting a job.
From it. Yeah. All right. What's the end goal?
The end goal, to make the biggest impact possible. I mean, it's not just about this week, it's about what happens after this week and just the years to come and how we can, again, help guide people into the future that they don't even have yet, but they can and they will, and being part of that growth.
All right. What metrics maybe do you use to measure the success of the talent development?
The matrix that I use, it honestly varies depending on the student and where they're at. So they could be newly graduated, but they might not have any real experience. And so we'll kind of, work with them, try to figure out what it is that they can do. Or we'll have someone who has had, a part-time job while they've been working. So they've been getting that real hands-on experience while getting the formal education. So the matrix that we go by is just where they're at in their experience in that field that they want to go into.
That's how you measure that. All right, with Top Talent Agency, you've had it for a while now, and you are actually an editor. You have a magazine?
Yes,
yeah, on it.
Yes, I'm editor-in-chief of an online magazine called Top Talent Magazine.
Yeah, tell us more about that.
So what I do is that I focus solely, primarily on successful business owners. So people who have shown results, they have insight and advice. They might have a book, they might have an online course, which is another way that a student can inadvertently obtain a mentor now. We're on this tour for a week, we keep coming back, but if we're not able to actually formally connect with them, other ways to get a mentor is finding out what books that they have online, what courses that they have online. And so people that come into my field, that have those things, they go into Top Talent Magazine. And I work with wonderful people like that, but I also work with other media outlets in America. And I have always just had a real passion for conversations and connecting with people. And so that's how I started my business, is just from that. I love doing interviews, I love talking to people and seeing what different routes came up in their life that got them to where they are. And that's how I started my business. And so that's how I took my natural love, I turned it into a talent, and then I converted it into a business. So I am a real example of that.
Yeah. Now, to you, Ande, you have the Ande Monet LLC. If you can just tell us a bit about what you do. With that.
I actually have 3 businesses, but it all revolves around helping businesses when you have a business, you make a lot of mistakes, and there's a lot of failure involved with owning and running and growing a business. And after I've been doing this for 35 years, there's so many things that small businesses can do to help really grow their profits and their business without adding any cost or working more hours. And I try to teach those to people because there's nothing worse than starting a business that you end up failing because of things that are really, really small. So I have a mentorship program for business owners, but I also do consulting doing the same thing, and then a software company, which again is to help businesses grow without adding any cost or hours to their day.
Yeah. Where did your love for that come from, you know?
It was completely by accident, actually. My original background's in engineering, quantum physics and engineering. And very, very long story short, and not to be too geeky, but optimization is about having multiple variables and multiple formulas and solving them all at the same time. And then I take that into business. And so you want to maximize revenue at the same time that you want to minimize costs, at the same time that you want to, maybe not hire somebody or know when to hire them. So it's business is like an equation for me, and then I can see it better than other people. So it's easy for me to go into a business, whether it's a $80 billion company or a $1 million company, and say, if you do this, you can double your revenue in 30 to 60 days, literally overnight.
Yeah.
And so I teach small businesses how to do that so they don't suffer. I mean, to me, it's really personal with helping small businesses, because to me it's like helping them get their children through college, helping them put food on the table, helping them have a life or vacation, helping them get good health care. It's like, it's not the money, it's much more than the money for me, why I do what I do.
Yeah, that's inspirational. Now, for you, Isabel, I mean, you've mentioned that you've come to Kenya. This is actually the 5th time as you do these tours that you normally do, where you go around inspiring, the young generation. Where exactly did that love come from for you, your side of the story? Where did it all stem from?
It's a little bit personal. I haven't really told a lot of people this, but I have a learning disability. It's called attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and I have another one called dyslexia. So 2 things that make my brain work extra hard than the normal person. And seeing my fellow classmates, some of them would find things very easy, some things others would find to be very difficult. And I just always saw how, in the back of my mind, the different ways that their self-esteem would get nicked at if they weren't the best at everything. It's impossible to be. It's hard. And that's always kind of stuck with me. So when I'm having these conversations with students, when I'm speaking to them, I'm honestly talking to myself again. It's like, it's okay to have these challenges, just don't give up. It's okay to have someone in your corner being like, honestly, I don't think you're gonna make it. It's okay to cut ties and form new relationships with people who want you to succeed. Because it's gonna be hard no matter what. You can either not follow your dreams and be surrounded by people who don't want you to succeed, or you can say goodbye to some of those relationships and move towards your vision. Either way, you're gonna have some hard decisions to make. You just have to choose which level of difficulty you want to sit with for a really long time.
They say pick your struggle.
Pick your struggle, yes, exactly.
Yeah. All right, as we come to a close of this conversation, probably within the 7 days that you will be around, that's 1 week, where exactly will you be going specifically, maybe?
So we are going to be speaking to a lot of different schools here in Nairobi, Kisii, Kisumu, and some universities in the Masai Mara. But if you guys just follow us on social media, you'll see where we're at. Sometimes we try not to let everyone know where we are, because sometimes people who aren't the students will try to come in. So we try to be accommodating to the locations that we're at.
Yeah, because you want to limit it to the students that you are working with right now.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe a piece of advice as we finish.
Oh, you grow in your uncomfortable zone, which is really hard when you don't like being uncomfortable, whether you're a student or an adult. Pushing yourself in that area that doesn't feel right and changing the mindset to know that when you feel uncomfortable, you're growing makes a big difference.
before you give us your last remarks, I've seen you've come with a very huge team. So probably each person that you've come with has something will be speaking to the kids maybe?
Yes.
Are they business owners? Are they?
Yes, so every single person that's going to be on the stage and talking to the students all own their own successful businesses.
Okay.
They've been doing it for various amounts of time. They have high success in what it is that they try to accomplish for their clients. So every single person that you're going to see on stage, they're going to have a different message. They're going to tell different personal stories because, again, we all come from different walks of life. We all have different situations that brought us to where we are today. And my only piece of advice to give to anybody is never judge a book by its cover because you don't know what's in those chapters. You don't know what's in those pages.
All right. Maybe your last remarks?
I guess my last remarks are, whatever challenge that you have coming up, embrace it. No matter the outcome, no matter how much of a struggle it's going to be, if you have to get up early, if you're going to have an uncomfortable conversation, do it. Power through it. Because at the end of that, on the other side of it, it's going to be the success that you want to have. So face it head on.
All right, thank you so much, Ande Monet, and thank you so much, Isabella Donadio, for the job that you're doing. You're doing a wonderful job, just trying to nurture these young kids. And as we've agreed, from this conversation, that starting from the time when they are young is the best way to start. You've learned a bit of Swahili. So in Swahili we say samaki mkunje angali mdogo, like you nurture from the word go, like I don't know how to translate that clearly, but
I'll have someone help me with that.
But it just means that you start from a young age, and that's the best time to try and just mold someone to become who they want to become, because when they're older, maybe it wouldn't be possible to mold them as much.
It's harder when you're older, but it's not impossible.
Yeah.
It's best to start when you're younger, so you can have those trials and failures and overcome them. But it doesn't matter how old you get in life. It's never too late. It's never impossible. It's just going to be a little bit harder.
Exactly. All right. And on that note, that is where we end Good Morning Kenya for today. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us today. It was a pleasure having you on the show. This is where we say goodbye right here from the entire team that made this program a success today. We want to wish you a lovely day. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. See you tomorrow, same time and place, God willing. Goodbye.
My name is Posire Marupe and I was told to come to this class.
No wonder. You know, some of us pay our own school fees. We do not have the so-called daddies to pay for us. Can you imagine me and Will Smith are literally buddies? Sorry, Jada.